Crewe Alexandra isn't the most historic club in England. Founded in 1877, adjacent to the Crewe Cricket Club, the Alexandra part was named after Princess Alexandra. It's not a team of royalty though, being founded by railway workers. Plus, it's a club that has never been to the Premier League. The closest was in 1998, where they placed 11th in what is now known as the Championship. Since 1921, they have never fallen further down the 4th division. However, with the last 20 years swapping between League 1 and 2, can I bring them into the Premier League for the very first time? It was going to be a challenge, with the team expected to get relegated. Coming with experience from Football Manager, I've never had success in the English pyramid. It's a cruel system if you don't know what you're doing, and trust me, a lot of clubs don't. I once got sacked by a League 1 side, then hired by a League 2 club Northampton Town, only to get relegated because I didn't realize they were under administration. That led to a Romanian excursion, but that's a story for another day. Back to reality, it's gonna take time for me to understand how good or bad my team is because, man, these attributes are low. Still, no matter what, I was gonna use a 4-4-2 Route 1 style.
Brexit means Brexit, apparently.
Introducing the players, in net was Harvey Davis on loan from Liverpool, although it will be a tough choice between him and Tom Booth. Ryan Cooney would play at right fullback and Zach Williams on the left. He could also set up centrally, but we had options like Mickey Demetriou, Connor O'Riordan, and captain Luke Offord. In central midfield, Joe White was on loan from Newcastle, Jack Powell looked like a decent veteran playmaker, and Charlie Colquette rounded out the better options. On the wings, Shiloh Tracy and Aaron Rowe on loan from Huddersfield Town gave us limited choices. Up top, there was Courtney Baker-Richardson, Elliot Nevitt, and Chris Long. It didn't seem perfect, but that was what we had by opening day. Although, there was an academy player that got my attention, and his name was Max Woodcock. Yes, that's really his name. The first thing to note about the team are the bench sizes. Only 7 spots, which I thought was small. My lineup selection also offended and even hurt some feelings. Although, after telling everyone to enjoy themselves, they were hyped. There are several clubs to watch out for in League 2, and our opponent's Mansfield Town is one of them. Playing the narrow formation of the 4-4-2, the Stags managed to bring forth a quandary. That's because our debut went the opposite of good. Only 3 minutes in, we conceded. Oh! A free kick later, and it was 2-0 Mansfield Town a quarter hour in. As I was witnessing my team completely falling apart, a little hope was sparked when Tracy's cross landed for a Long goal. That brought us back from despair, as shortly after, Long turned into provider, equalizing this match. Then, about 90 seconds later, Powell had a free kick. And now free kick Powell? Our death was over-exaggerated as we scored 2 more for a 5-2 win. What a debut from yours truly. Scoring didn't seem like a problem, but defending maybe. After elimination from the Carabao Cup to Leeds, we would go on and lose our next 2 fixtures 9-6 overall. 5 conceded to Swindon, led by Gez Sidholm, alongside big boy Charlie Austin. Newport County was even worse, as we pulled a Mansfield and balled a 2-goal lead. The winning return versus Walsall thanks to Colquette's winner, which brought forth the last game of August. Bradford City, managed by Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
Mountains are there to be climbed, aren't they?
The Bantams have spent the majority of the 21st century in the 4th tier, but had once a brief spell in the Premier League. With Ole at the wheel, I supposedly sparked a feud, according to one of these 2 journalists. Long shots were the name of the game to begin the campaign, and that continued as Jamie Walker gave Bradford the advantage. It wasn't going our way today, as towards the end, they'd get a second. Ole celebrated, and we left in shame. That was the end of our first month at Chroo, but on deadline day, we made several deals. Firstly, Imari Samuels arrived on loan as he could cover both fullback positions. Coming from Brighton, he was joined by Noel Aton, who was a central defender. Our attack needed more options, so Josh Martin was signed on a free for the wings. Finally, Courtney Baker-Richardson was sold for 51k, letting us loan in Joe Hugo from Manchester United. With him, we could go Long and Hugo up top, or potentially Hugo Woodcock, or even Long Woodcock. We went with the first option versus MK Dons, a club known for the wrong reasons. Now based in Milton Keynes, they used to be Wimbledon FC, a club that had history, including one of the most shocking FA Cup wins in the chronicle of the competition. However, with a consortium takeover in the early 2000s, they were controversially moved to Milton Keynes in 2003, changing their name a year later to MK Dons, meaning Wimbledon were dead. On to our match. Will the new signings bring consistency, or will the clown fiesta remain? Patience was required, as despite creating good chances, introducing so many new names had us go down 2-0 by the half. I tried to focus down the flanks in response, and nearly went down 3-0. So, it was time to bring back the secret plan. 4-triple-2. And with Woodcock on the right, he whipped in a ball to Hugo, who headed it off the post, but Josh Martin was there to tuck it home. Shortly, Woodcock was for some reason on the other side of the pitch, but he sent a dangerous ball in behind, where Long was brought down for a penalty. 2-2, thanks to the Woodcock effect. And while our opponents nearly took the lead, we went straight down, where Hugo hit the woodwork again. Then, within 7 before the added minutes, Long's header sent Hugo in. Hugo, can he finally score? He finally scores his first, and the comeback is complete. In the 100th minute, we had one more. All that drama, only for us to lose to the current Wimbledon. AFC, 2-1, right after. Hugo scored, but also got sent off. We then conceded an 88th minute equalizer to Forest Green Rovers in the following fixture, and lost to a strong Colchester side to go 3 winless. It wasn't going to get easier, as Hollywood was calling. I just ignored the phone call, as Woodcock pounded Mr. I Live in Pound Ridge, New York himself. With that win, form picked up, defeating Gillingham thanks to Long and Woodcock, destroying the ever so popular Salford, and keeping a clean sheet versus Tranmere Rovers. Surprisingly, that had us placed in 6th through 13 match days. Chroo lifts Crewe. It was a nice time, but just as quickly as we got up there, we fell off nearly as fast. By match day 20, we lost 4 more, including a thrilling contest with the undefeated Stockport County. Apparently, a historic rival, from their perspective. Down 3-0 at the 42nd minute, Josh Martin's goal and a Hugo brace equalized the encounter. Unfortunately, on loan Louis Barry would get the winner for the Hatters. These results had us drop to 9th, 5 points out of the playoffs, and it continued to be a rocky road in December. Elimination from 2 cup competitions within 3 days was a bad sign for the month. December in English football is wild. If we include New Year's Day, we had 4 games in 10 days. Added to that, unlike the Premier League where they play 38 fixtures, from championship and below, you play 46 with 3 cup competitions on the side. Now lower league clubs rely on ticket sales, so having this many matches is theoretically important in order to sustain themselves. Yet the players' fitness levels aren't quite as high, training conditions aren't what you expect with only a couple coaches, although our facilities are excellent, which is a rarity. Granted, 4 draws if we include the New Year's Sport Fest versus Ole Stratford.
12th month, boss.
It's not that, Ryan Dicker. It's Michael Leach.
What, one of the 2 journalists that actually show up?
Yeah, I swear that guy hates me, and I answer all his questions.
I heard he's not trustworthy. Better to ignore it.
Ignore it.
Crew, 1 win in the last month. What are you going to do?
No comment.
Well, any transfers to look forward to?
No comment.
Bars.
All in all, we dropped into mid-table. Still, it was only a 5-point difference, and with new blood coming in January, there was time to keep fighting. Mansfield Town were in the promotion spots, so let's once again... 2 goals from Adam led to a 3-0 victory. Swindon Town following was tough, especially when Charlie Austin equalized, but Chris Long stepped up to grab a brace himself. We would make a free transfer in the middle of the month with Owusu arriving. He's a striker, but I thought I could train him as a center mid. He got his debut off the bench against Nigel Pearson's Barrow. He didn't do much, unlike Joe Hugo, whose brace rescued a point. To round off January, we faced Salford, a club known more for their owners than their performances on the pitch. Although, they pulled off a historical move by employing the English League's first ever female manager, Emma Hayes. Hannah Dingley's 13-day caretaker role isn't recorded in this universe. Salford were in the relegation zone, and the Woodcock showed the crowd why. A hat-trick from him exemplified why he deserved a new contract. Just a couple points from the promotion spots, but League 2 has shown to be cruel, and that cruelness was merely paused. Max Woodcock's goal in the 85th minute gave us a 3-2 lead over Tranmere. However, right before the 90th, a poorly cleared header was then missed by Powell, which saw Norris equalize. Another draw occurred straight away, with Crawley Town ending 2-2. Oh my gosh, that is some cheese. It wasn't getting easier with our historic rivals Stockport. They were flying this season, only suffering their first loss in December. Even crazier, they made the Carabao Cup semi-final, defeating Wrexham, Carlisle, West Ham, Luton, and Bournemouth on their way there. However, due to all those matches, their league form faltered as they wouldn't win a single match in January. However, they pushed Manchester City in the EFL Cup, losing 4-3 in the first leg. The second leg isn't worth talking about. After it all calmed down, their form turned around before they faced us. We both hit the post, however, like last time, Louis Barry scored for them. Louis was doing a lot of that, but we had a man desperate to catch up, and that was Max Woodcock. 1-1, and I would have taken it. But here lies a problem for us. Goalkeeping. A frustrating goal to concede, and I really need to have a look at our keepers. Booth and Davis are both young. Nevertheless, if we're going to concede a lot, we might as well play the guy we actually own. Now 4 points out of the playoffs, we were able to rebuild ourselves thanks to a Woodcock brace versus Harrogate Town and a thrilling victory over promotion favorites Notts County. That saw Hugo secure his hat-trick and the game winner in the 88th minute. Putting the ball into the net was rarely an issue, as another win arrived versus Morecambe. Yet, no matter who was in the back line, clean sheets were rare. Within 1 point of the final playoff spot, that was the closest we would get. Doncaster were saved by the bell in a 2-1 defeat, while Sutton Town had a wacky end to our promotion chances. Down 2-1 with less than 5 to go, Tom Booth conceded this. We were able to get within 1 again, only for them to secure a penalty in the 95th minute, which they converted. Booth on a 6.1 led to Liverpool's Loney playing the rest of the season. A draw to MK Dons following dropped us 6 points out. Despite winning consecutive fixtures straight away, the gap remained. Several drop points at the beginning of April had us falling further down. The only shining light was Max Woodcock catching up to Louis Barry in goals. Unfortunately, the Woodcock would get injured, finishing the campaign on 19, while Louis ended on 21. It was a tough experience in our first season with Crewe, as losing the final match to champions Colchester was a somber end to the campaign. They were joined alongside Stockport and Mansfield for automatic promotion. Meanwhile, in the playoffs between Bradford, Doncaster, Notts County, and MK Dons, the final would be decided between the division's top scorer Langstaff of Notts and Ole's Bradford. In the end, it was Ole going up, while the Magpies, like us, needed to go again. Looking at the player stats, not a lot of good performers, which included Hugo, who was finishing his loan. Our issue was obvious. We had the 4th most goals for, but on the other hand, we conceded the 5th most. So, let's go again. How did we get worse?
Oh my, someone called the National Weather Service.
Turnover is normal in the lower leagues, and that was the same for us, releasing several players. However, we also had a massive sale with Connor O'Riordan being sold to Derby for over £500,000. Not much would be spent as it helped us avoid being in the red. Still, almost 50 of it was used on Rico Brown from Birmingham. Like most sides in this division, we relied on free transfers. During last season, I was able to bring in Luke Barry, whose influence didn't come into fruition. In net, former Newcastle keeper Mark Gillespie improved the position, or so I thought. We also brought in Maldini Katsuri, a former Arsenal youth product. Continuing, Imari Samuels returned on a free transfer, along with Joe Hugo, which was a huge relief. Kyle John joined too, and he could play both flanks at the back. The final free transfer was a massive signing from Rangers. Nigerian international, Leon Balogun. Better defenders, worse results. To round it off, Eli King was loaned in from Cardiff City as a midfielder. Elijah Morrison joined him from the Championship as an intriguing option on the wings. Finally, from Everton, the Sheriff comes to town with Martin Sherif. We didn't have to cover too much of the wage for these guys, and maybe I shouldn't be surprised being 17th when our team's salary was the second lowest. It's not like all of our performances were bad, but things weren't clicking consistently. A scoreless draw to Crawley began October, and the stalemates continued. Woodcock returned to take the lead versus Morecambe. Then came the 93rd minute. It's the goalie! The confusion of the keeper must have impacted our team, as a different Max equalized the match. Our new center back pairing weren't in sync, and the pain wouldn't end there with Notts County. They were once again a favorite for promotion. Wait, so were we? And we're doing this bad? Yet, against the pesky Magpies, we were winning. Hugo opened the encounter with a little help. Unfortunately, they had one of the best strikers in the lower leagues, Langstaff, equalizing with a half hour left. We were desperate for a win, and a goal came from an unlikely source. Rico Brown, or should I say, Broundinho, getting us back ahead. Alas, Notts County began cooking near the end, and we kept falling further behind, conceding a late equalizer again. Versus our friends in Milton Keynes, we once again took the lead, Long reminding us not to forget about him. But a slim advantage isn't enough, so moments later, we did something we've only done thrice this season. Take a 2-goal advantage, and what a way to do it, Owusu. Unlike against recently relegated Carlisle, we were able to keep the forefront till the end and turn the season around. Our crew finally earned consecutive wins after defeating Nigel Pearson's Barrow, followed by the destruction of Salford City. However, even with a good form returning, that form would be temporary. November would see 2 more wins, 2 draws, and a loss. Not disastrous, but there was a penalty shootout loss to Doncaster in the EFL Trophy, which led to our elimination. Regardless, we shot up the table and sat right outside the playoff spots. December last year caused us problems, so that needed to change. Our starting 11 generally looked like this, although as always in English football, slight changes are made with an abundance of fixtures. Forest Green Rovers opened the month. They had Troy Deeney. Thankfully for them, he wasn't managing.
Cheeky bastard.
Instead, it was Edward Still, the older brother of Will.
Did you know he played Football Manager?
This would be a great start to the month, as the Wood of Cock assisted Hugo and later scored for himself. Forest Green made it interesting for about 5 minutes, but Rico Brown sealed it with quite a nice strike. Grimsby were then defeated midweek in the FA Cup. Following, we faced one of the 2 newly promoted sides, Dagenham and Redbridge. Like many, they couldn't handle Woodcock, who aided in a 2-0 result. Doncaster afterwards continued to be a pain in my as they had a 3-0 lead in the opening 12 minutes, 4-1 by the half. We were able to push within 1 thanks to the Sheriff and Tracy, but a late pen made Amari's goal at the death a mere consolation. However, our scoring wouldn't be stopped. 2-2 versus Accrington. After this, Chris Long would miss this, and also this, but I figured it out. For him to score, he has to be precisely 3 yards out. Elijah Morrison would seal the victory with a 4th, and 4 seemed to be my favorite number, as that was the amount we smacked into the net versus Stevenage. While our opponents fought very well, Woodcock's brace, which included the winner, would be enough. Max would conclude his and our incredible month with a goal versus Crawley Town. That would bring his 2nd straight Player of the Month award. While I finished in 2nd for the Manager's Award? Why did they give it to Mike over me? Although, me and Max both signed new deals. All of this brought us up to 4th by the time the new year rolled around. Our first opponents of 2025 would be 3rd place Morecambe. Unfortunately, Max was unfit. Therefore, I shifted a winger into an inside forward. Chris Long would play there and become revolutionary. It was an electric start with Tracy smacking the bar, so Long decided to show how it was done. Tracy knew his role and decided to find Long with a brilliant cross to the far post, handing us a 2-0 advantage. Despite some terrible defending, we held on and snatched 3rd place. It was anyone's game for that spot, with 9th only 4 points behind. Before continuing a challenging January, an FA Cup encounter versus Southampton was up. It was rare to see our crowd sell out, but we gave them a show, with Joe Hugel tying it up with 20 to go. Unfortunately, their quality showed with a Stuart Armstrong free kick and biased officiating leading to a penalty and red card. A good effort versus the Saints, and it didn't impact our league form. Northampton Town was tight when it shouldn't have been. Luckily, Hugo was able to grab the sole goal. Now, it was time to play the top 2. First, Notts County, where the previous fixtures have been tense. I decided to continue with Long as the inside forward. However, the Magpies were missing their star man, Langstaff. They almost scored first. And also had this ruled for offside. Maybe that was a sign of destiny. Destiny for Woodcock to open the encounter. Notts County still gave us problems, but it wasn't a smash and grab, with Woodcock stopped. After his favorite minute passed by, Imari Samuels made a brilliant delivery to the back post for Tracy, increasing the lead. To confirm the victory, Josh Martin, who had been quiet, knuckled one over the keeper, confirming our victory. From a former first place team to another, MK Dons were up. They also had a top scorer named Ellis Harrison. He didn't start for them either. We meanwhile kept our attack the same. That faith was rewarded as Woodcock again opened it up. Minutes later, he assisted Hugo, giving us a quick 2-goal advantage. However, MK Dons were first for a reason, and were able to give themselves a chance with the second half to go. Unfortunately for them, it was our day again, where Balogun's header led to Hugo's tap-in. That's how it ended, which means the top 2 were defeated, and our position in third was starting to increase. Who knows, maybe we'll be able to breach the top 2 positions.
Oh my god!
With Balogun's knee exploding, leading to his eventual retirement a few months later, that left us in a panic. As we all wore our Balogun jerseys before kickoff versus Cheltenham Town, things weren't right with us. Paolo was a respected figure in the dressing room, and with him gone, we were out of sorts and lost to Cheltenham. Thankfully, versus Carlisle, the Sheriff was back in town to freshen the attack, handing us a solid victory. Transfer dealings needed to be made, especially for the Balogun replacement. That would be Willie Bally. Despite his lack of pace, his veteran experience is exactly what we needed. Other deals included Owusu being sold to Cork City, while Norwich granted us the loan of Uria JJ. On to our first match with the new players, we faced Tranmere Rovers. With midfield issues, Zach Williams started there, while Bally paired up with the youngster Maldini. There wasn't much to mention for the opening 45, until late on, where Zach Williams pushed Tranmere's player for a penalty. Gillespie never saves penalties, as our opponents opened the encounter. Moments later, the Sheriff was off duty. Post the interval, Woodcock was somehow stopped, but in the 68th minute, the Book of Eli opened our account. Now, Willie Bally wasn't having the greatest of games, sitting on a 6.5 rating.
Williams! That is twice in a game! Why didn't I sub you off earlier?
We were about to go 2-1 down because Gillespie... Why doesn't Williams stop following people in the box? Is he stupid?
I know. Red card?
Back to the penalty. I'm expecting this to go into the back of the net.
He saves it?
I had to adjust the tactic, and we were keeping the score level, but in the 90th minute, Tracy stupidly gave it away, and Willie Bally lost his man Dalby, who headed in the cross. I won all or nothing, seeing us concede a third. Some terrible individual performances, which gave us a loss, barely keeping us in the top 3. Next up was Wrexham. That was the first time we lost consecutively in the league since September, knocking us out of the top 3. Of course, Bally had another stinker and needed to be dropped. And you know what? We began winning again. They were all narrow fixtures, with Barrow staying 1-0 for a while until Long cleared the way. Salford also kept it close, and Swindon were barely thwarted with a Sheriff and Long once again. That returned us to third with a 2-point gap. Results are inconsistent in our division, no matter what club you are. With that in mind, let's play Willie Bally versus 24th place Woking.
Bally off. Don't want to see you, man. Worst signing ever.
To be fair, it wasn't just him, as 5 minutes after Hugo's brace, we conceded an equalizer to Matt Smith, who could barely run. With nothing else to show, we drew and dropped out of third again. Unfortunately, due to fitness issues, I had to play the dreaded Bally at center back and Williams at center mid. It didn't seem like a problem with us going 3-0 up by the half, although Sutton found one. I saw no issue. But moments later, Zach Williams arrived and conceded a penalty. Cheers, lad. We still secured a fourth, and despite allowing another goal late, we left with a victory. Although, Bally with another bad match rating was the last straw for him. I would go with Offord and Brown, but because of Brown's lousy fitness, Williams would have to play 2. Better there than center mid. You may be saying I'm being harsh to Bally, but he dropped these ratings against newly promoted clubs. Man's finished. Now we were behind Cheltenham Town for third, but Bally or not, Walsall would hit us early. Fighting for a playoff spot, they desperately needed a result. Even when we equalized in the second half, they stayed strong, seeing Isaac Hutchinson smacking in this. We were on the brink of defeat and about to drop from our desired position once more. That was until the end. Come on, Sheriff. Come on. One more. One more. There wouldn't be another as we stayed behind Cheltenham. Thankfully, Grimsby Town are bad, and their performances showcased it with us building up a 3-0 lead. At the same time, Gillingham were defeating Cheltenham. Grimsby ended up getting a goal back after I subbed on the young Maldini, but we were in control. Don't you fear? The Sheriff is here. A win secured, and third place returning to us. Gillingham did defeat Cheltenham, and with them next, we could finally separate away from our rivals. Thankfully, they made our job easy with Connor Masterson's 16th minute red card causing a penalty. I gotta give credit to Gillingham as they made it difficult, but we earned a 3-1 victory. That added with Cheltenham's loss, finally giving us a large gap between 3rd and 4th. 3 of our next 4 opponents were in the bottom 5. It could be problemsome with them desperate to survive, but we pulled through against all 3 of them. It wasn't easy, but we secured promotion and moved up the English pyramid. Some big injuries could have damaged our season, but with 3 players with 17 or more goals, we could have 2 Willy Bollies and still find success. I'd like to give a congrats to Elijah Morrison, who got into the PFA Team of the Year. I thought we'd see more of our guys, but with how strong Notts County and MK Dons are, it makes sense. The 3 of us would eventually be joined by Gillingham, who defeated Cheltenham Town in the playoff final in extra time. League 2 provided many cruel moments, but what will League 1 have in store? After a cruel first few seasons with Chroo, managed by Chroo, we were set for our first campaign in League 1. Still on a shoestring budget, freeze and loans were crucial to make sure we headed towards the championship. Some recognizable names were released, and in their places include Lewis Thompson from Stevenage, who was a defensive-minded midfielder. Christopher Clausen would replace Gillespie, as the Norwegian had a lot of room to grow. In defense, after getting brutally rejected by several, some 2 clubs below us, we finally brought in Dylan Williams at left back, and Malone Romeo for the right. A smart thing to do in the lower divisions is to look for academy graduates who will or have been released by Premier League clubs. Woefully, a good amount won't even want to breathe the same air as you, but you can find some gems. Last time, it was Maldini Katsuri, who we ended up selling to West Brom for £625k. The new candidates were Kieran Morrison from Liverpool and Carter Piddington from the same club. Neither were first team options yet, but Alex Matos was, as he arrived from Chelsea. It's all about that pace. Lastly, from Manchester City, Ben Knight arrived on the wings. Speaking of the Citizens, we entered an affiliate partnership with them. That means we can host a friendly where we can keep the gate receipts, earn 100k per year, and receive free loans. For that, we only brought in Joel and Dalla. Come on lads, ours not that much different. Speaking of loans, a few did not return because their clubs wanted their players to be tested in a new environment. What bull crap is that? However, Elijah Morrison remained, along with the Sheriff. By the end of the window, we borrowed Brad Hills from Norwich and ended everything with Tom Bayliss arriving on a free. With that rounded up, we were expected to finish in mid-table, and it started with our rivals, Port Vale. Or are they? It's listed as a local rivalry, as the clubs are within 13.2 miles of each other. Yet, according to this Cheshire Live article, people have different views. Granted, both of our supposed rivals are Stoke City, and neither of us have played them in a competitive fixture since they removed FA in front of Premier League. Rivalry or not, we might as well make it special. Yet, it began quickly, as 168cm tall Ben Knight opened the scoring. Messi versus Manchester United vibes. They seem to have tall targets themselves, however, and a quarter way through, they would connect with a header to equalize. A handful of minutes later, we had a free kick for ourselves. Ben Knight stepped up and smacked the post. Luckily, Imari Samuels was there for the rebound. The second half had meek efforts, like Mato smacking a granny in the noggin, and Port Vale's attempt not even harming a fly. The score would remain the same until the end, as we won our debut in England's 3rd tier. It seemed our Rep 1 style was still working, as the beginning of the campaign was fantastic. Fellow promotees Gillingham were dealt with, along with Cambridge United. I guess everyone was right. League 1's gonna be easy, is what I thought. But we quickly ran into a reality check. It began with Charlton. Once in the top flight, they've been stuck in the 2nd and 3rd tier since their 2007 relegation. They opened it up with a banger. but we responded with a sheriff from a corner. Glad to have you back. Unfortunately, they would slice through our team following the restart. In response, Hugo missed this by a mile, and Alfie May failed to get its brace. They were recently relegated, and it showed by the end result. That first loss led to another in the EFL Cup to Preston. To end the month, we faced fellow promotees, Notts County. We were subpar throughout the fixture, and Offord's pass to Elijah was stolen, leading to Shepard finding Jamie Mullen, who brilliantly volleyed it for the winner. While I thought confidence was restored after smashing Salford in the EFL trophy, that was just a bad team we played. Against legitimate opposition away from home, we suffered dearly, as Shrewsbury and Portsmouth both scored 3 on us. 4 league losses in a row brought forth this headline. Who the hell wrote this? Who needs to do that when you got All Reliable in the front pocket? We conceded in the second minute to Bristol Rovers. They had a few players on loan who seemed a little too good for this division. Although, maybe we can say the same with UK Knight. Bristol were still a threat, no thanks to our defending. They then introduced the 2025 meta of laying down in front of the ball for a free kick, which led to a crossbar hit. Whatever threat they had offensively wasn't showcased in defense, as the knight in shining armor was given too much space to grab the lead. In the final 45, Omari Kellyman nearly grabbed a brilliant equalizer. Instead, after a few subs, it was us who grabbed the security goal with Joe Hugo. A great feeling to get over our bad form. But that was ruined by, I'm sure, the same journalist as earlier writing this headline. Bro, all I did was move a winger higher up. That's why Ryan Dicker now deals with the press. Reunited with our historic rival Stockport County, they were oh so close to championship promotion last year, but missed out on the playoffs by goal difference due to a dreadful end to the campaign. You can thank Scott Parker for that. This season, such as us, they were rather mixed. It showed with the score remaining 0-0 until the final 10 minutes. A throw returns to Offord, who clanked it to the far post, where Joel Andala found the winner. Late goals were crucial in these next few games, but not for us. Tied 1-1 with Blackpool, which included a Hugo missed pen. Fast forward to added time. We didn't clear our lines from a corner, and Albie Morgan, who got Blackpool's first, sneaked among the chaos to be left wide open. A tough result, but Sheffield Wednesday straight after was just as, if not more painful. 3-1 up, thanks to Joe Hugo's hat-trick. I'm gonna leave the clock at the bottom right corner. A low cross from Wednesday connected to Marconde, who did the rest. Barely a minute later, I dropped to a balanced approach, and instead, Thompson decided to not mark my hand, who was wide open, and of course, equalizes. What a waste of Hugo's efforts. Bolton. One of several to mid to late 2000s Premier League sides to have fallen off a cliff. What a pity is what I would say if they didn't steal my U18's physio Eve Elliott 2 seasons ago. I still hold a grudge against them. And when they visited, Eve was not there because she's their under 21s physio.
That was a bit anticlimactic.
And so was this match, to be honest. Scoreless until the 85th minute, where Joe Hugo clutches up again. With the deadlock finally broken, Rico Brown grabbed a second moments later, leading to our victory. It was nice to feel that again, and we'd keep it up. A tight win over Rotherham followed, and a comfortable triumph past England's most loved club too. But there was an issue. Max Woodcock hadn't scored a single league goal. Adapting to a higher division proved to be difficult for him, as Hugo and Sharif were the favored starters. However, a brace against Maidstone in the FA Cup may have been the confidence boost he desperately needed. Leyton Orient followed in the league. While Sharif and Hugo were not doing well, our opposition scored on their first shot on target. With the final 10 minutes approaching, it was time to bring on Max Woodcock and push the tempo to the max. No pun intended, as a messy corner sequence led to the Sheriff equalizing the match. Close to the 90th, Woodcock was sent through. Woodcock, 1-on-1! Man is finished at this level. Oh, he's not! Let's go! With all that excitement, he kept going. Getting out of this pretty well. Sheriff Woodcock again.
You smell what the Woodcock is cooking.
Oh, now he's just taking the piss. You see, my initial comments were motivation for Woodcock to deliver again. A fourth came from Matos, as another victory was earned. Keep the score the same, but change the opponents, as Max earned a start versus Wigan, and again, grabbed a brace. We were in the promotion playoff spots, 16 fixtures through. But next up was Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's Bradford. Huh? He left for Sunderland in the summer? Hold up, he hired Roy Keane as his assistant? Wait a moment, he got sacked 4 months later due to the club's poor financial situation? Then why did you allow him to buy Fabian Krivak for 3.2 million? Just say the results were Well, that makes this match less interesting, and my apathy towards it led to a 1-1 draw. That was followed by another to Barnsley, but in crueler fashion. Oh, we better not concede in the 91st minute of all minutes. Danny Bath, who if he was pacier, would probably have been called up to England. Or India, apparently. Thankfully, we rebounded versus Peterborough and got a couple more wins in cup competitions to end November. I won't go on that December is difficult spiel, but results were concerning. Losing to Mansfield Town 3-2 at home wasn't great, and receiving a further L from Reading made me worried as we had 3 away games in a week. Our tactic was starting to become vapid as Peterborough slotted in a penalty and we offered nothing in return. Stockport County following was a snooze fest, but at least we grabbed our first point of the month. However, Derby County is when shit really hit the fan. We already dropped from 5th to 8th, but getting a good result here can bring back momentum. Now, it would be nice if Luke Offord was looking at the ball in the first minute of the game. Thankfully, we responded in 10 minutes with a Hugel tap-in. A little later, before I could catch my breath, we equalized with who else but Joe. Of course, this nonsensical match continued to explode, and a Knockloose Derby free kick turned into a game of handball as Matos allowed them to take the lead again. A deeper free kick then arrived, and as Sonny Carey delivered the ball in, he sneakily jogged into the box and was conveniently left wide open, making it 4-2. We'd hit the post prior to half as I was at a loss. Since we were playing a narrow formation, I adjusted playing down the wings, but the score remained the same until there was 15 to go. What the? They were feeling extra saucy with this attempt. Our response came too late, as despite grabbing a pair to cut it down to 5-4, Joe Hugel missed this at the end. 5 winless, and it kept snowballing. A lead versus Blackpool? Well, how about losing the ball in our final third and our Norwegian keeper doing this? No! If we're handing out wins, might as well allow Sheffield Wednesday to join in the fun too. What a rancid month, as 6 L's and 7 dropped us 11 points out of the playoff spots. With 2 more losses sending us out of the FA Cup and EFL Trophy, something had to change. So, I asked my assistant for advice.
Is this?
Going from a Route 1 style to basically putting everything here to the extreme turned things around. Doing this gave us 5 wins in January. Now, they were all close results, including Woodcock scoring 4 throughout, and Sharif getting an important brace at Notts County. With that, and the loans of Alexa Chekovas from Huddersfield Town and Luca Fletcher of Manchester City, we were now within 5 of the playoffs. We weren't winning every single game, but green became a common appearance. March was an offensive dream, seeing several different attacking options contribute to an undefeated month. That led to me earning the managerial award. Plus, we were temporarily back in a playoff spot, although Reading and Notts County had a game in hand. These are our remaining 5 fixtures, so let's begin with Cambridge. With the son of Jussi Jääskeläinen, Will, they were saved from the relegation spots, but it seemed like they were fighting for something. It began in the 7th minute where 2 defenders mixed up their men, leaving one wide open for the tap-in. We responded swiftly, but still down a goal. Soon later, Cambridge sent John Jules in behind, and the Arsenal graduate dinged Klaassen. While there was a lot of time left, the closest we got was hitting the bar by the break. Offensively, it seemed like we were doing the right thing until the finish, as we lost. Reading passed us with a win, while Notts County stayed behind with a 3-1 loss to Shrewsbury. Bristol Rovers were also in the fight, winning at MK Dons. With their makeup games happening at various points, we can only worry about matching them. Fleetwood Town at home, like Cambridge, seemed to have similar issues. Well, not defensively at least. We remained patient, and by the 74th minute, Hugel was found in the air to grab the lead. His poacher instincts has been important this season, and that sense would see him double our lead and clinch the 3 points. Now, unfortunately, all our challengers won. Mansfield Town away in the 3rd to last fixture, the first club we played against and defeated. They were no longer in the fight, and I was thankful for that, as Samuels was unopposed entering the box and took an early lead. We created several more opportunities in the initial stages, yet the score remained the same. Outside of an offside scare from Yakubu, there wasn't anything else worth noting as we clinched another dub. The others also saw wins, except for Notts County. Tuesday, April 14th rolled around, a day before my birthday, and I would get a great gift as Derby demolished Bristol Rovers, keeping us 3 points clear of them. The other games in hand occurred on Saturday, while we had a break. Reading eased by Bradford, and Notts County were 2-1 up versus Gillingham. Then, in the 92nd minute, the Gills' Ben Hammond put a desperate ball into the box. Because of our superior goal difference, Notts and Bristol's promotion hopes were potentially up in smoke. With Barnsley midweek, we would again have a strong start. Joe Hugo was becoming the hero of this story with a 73-second opener. He wasn't the protagonist, however. Soon, we'd regret that miss, as Richard Brown tumbled into Welsh gummies. Phillips would equalize, which would make for a clinch-worthy final day. That's if we drew.
No referee linesman.
Yet our missed chances were piling up. Then, with 20 to go, after clearing a corner,
And he sends it in behind to Sharif. The sheriff. Is Hugo on? He is.
that goal had us pumped until Hugo got injured in the celebrations. We couldn't worry about that as we played out the rest and clinched a playoff spot. A great achievement after a disgusting December. We could move further up as Reading were our final opponents. I prefer to play Bolton in the playoffs though, as we had better luck against them rather than Derby. Unfortunately, Hugo would miss the Reading match and likely the entire playoffs. On the final day, we drew Reading, despite in my opinion being the better team. Although, I'm alright with Bolton. So we played Derby County. Fun. Stuck in League One limbo throughout this adventure, they were managed by Nigel Clough, and their key men not mentioned already included Sammy Smodix, Ryan Iambe, Troy Parrott, and Jake Rooney. The tie is over 2 legs, but no away goal rule. We hosted the first leg and went with this lineup. Brown and Offord as the center back duo, Samuels and John on the flanks, Chetkovic and Bayless as the defensive midfielders, Matos with Fletcher on the wings, finally, Woodcock and the Sheriff up top. We hadn't defeated Derby this season, but the past doesn't matter when history can be written. We began well, with Matos nearly opening the encounter. 10 minutes before the half, the Sheriff would hit the post. A few moments later, Derby had a throw in.
No, ref, you fraud. That is not a penalty. No. There's VAR?
That's tough. With 45 to go, we needed at worst to draw, but it seemed like our opponents were inching towards the next.
Make them boot it up and win it back. Yes, let's go. Bayless. Good ball, good ball. John, you got to make a good decision here. Fletcher.
1-1. And after this miss in the 91st minute, it seemed like it would end in a stalemate.
Unless something happens here. Whatever that is, let's see. Woodcock! Woodcock is free! Woodcock! Woodcock!
Such a massive win. With the second leg 3 days later, we needed to rest the boys and do our best to at least draw. The team's condition was subpar, so Romeo swapped in for John, Thompson instead of Bayless, Ben Knight for Fletcher, and Elijah Morrison for Matos. Derby were in a similar position. It was nervy because Morris banged this in,
Oh, wow.
but was offside. That would have been disastrous.
We got a big crowd at our strong side, and Woodcock is injured.
Fletcher could also play striker, so he replaced the distraught Woodcock. Before we could regroup ourselves at the half,
Ooh, dude, no! Penal, no, ref! What's with this? What's with these referees handing penalties against us? I sense fraud. I sense corruption. What is this? As Rajdovich or whatever the hell your name is, no, Morris tucks his hair in, they score, middle, oh my.
and we haven't done anything. Proper reaction was vital, but nothing was happening. Instead, Derby kept getting closer and hit the woodwork on several occasions. We were against the ropes, and they were about to snap. With no shots since the opening few minutes, I tried to go a little more offensive to see something. Not long from extra time, both clubs were tired.
All right, good. Can we counter? No! Samuels! No! You fool! You fool! You fool! What are you doing?
Out of all the moments to have a lapse in judgment, why now? Pushing into suicidal territory led to nothing but our elimination and another year in League One. Derby would defeat Reading in extra time to earn themselves a spot in the championship, along with Blackpool and Peterborough. Considering everything, it was a successful campaign, but with some massive injuries at the end, all I can ask is, what if? Speaking of injuries, Woodcock tore his hamstring and would miss the entirety of pre-season. Even worse, PFA League One Player of the Year Martin Sharif would not return due to Everton. As the biggest overachievers, let's go again. We have to say goodbye to Chris Long, Josh Martin, Zach Williams, along with several others who were released. Thank you for the help up to this point. Not for the penalties conceded, Zach. Of course, we made free transfers, which included Emmanuel Adegboyega in defense, the GOAT MJ, Mikey Johnston on the wings. Then there's Ben, just gonna call him Ben, he plays left back. On the younger side, we had Kobe Poole from Arsenal's academy, and Joe Reed from Chelsea's. The latter was a hard worker that we desperately needed. Using our Manchester City loan connection, we brought in Harrison Parker in defense and Charlie Chroo to fill in on the wings and striker. Unfortunately, none of last season's loans remained because, they need to be tested in different environments. Piss off. The final in would be Dane Scarlett on yet another free. He would take over the sheriff's minutes.
There's a new sheriff in town.
But wouldn't receive the hat. However, we had a massive sale. Carter Pennington was sold to West Brom for £5.5 million. An insane sum to receive to keep our balances looking healthy. Improving our squad overall would surely help us get promoted. This happened on match day 1 versus Exeter, who were newly promoted. Luckily, Tom Booth was still at the club and on the bench. He seemingly looked out of his depth once he entered the pitch, although he wouldn't be helped by Captain Luke Offord, whose giveaway led to their equalizer. A disappointing way to start things off, and with Klassen out for at least a month, we needed to storm through the beginning of the campaign. Thankfully, the lads in front of Booth stepped up, keeping clean sheets against Mansfield and Charlton. That was unlike MK Dons, where it began with Joe Tomlinson dribbling unopposed to smash one in. The Dons were looking strong this season, but with their goal scorer injured, the momentum was starting to shift in our favor. To start the second half, a penalty was won, and Joe Hugel eventually scored. Minutes later, a wild few moments, but we were still staring down the barrel. Nevertheless, with hard work, the new signings combined with MJ finding Scarlett for the equalizer. We were fighting for more, and with such little time left on the clock, an interception in the midfield led to Scarlett winning a header to MJ, who found a wide open Hugel for the winner. No offside, as this was a key performance. His momentum continued in the EFL Cup second round, scoring against Leeds, and Tom Booth keeping a clean sheet. Such an impressive win, and we almost did the same to Manchester United, managed by Jack Ross. Who is this guy? They may have been playing a rotated side, but Ben Knight's goal was not our only chance. Sadly, missing these would cost us, as eventually, United equalized. We did so well, but now it was up to the team to get past Radek Vitek. Anything can happen in pens, but missing our second wasn't ideal. Thankfully, our goal was stopped by Booth in the following round. Woodcock could now equal it. To equal it up, he misses the net? Well, that sucks. But this performance would bring us confidence right after our loss to Preston. Regardless of that, September was fantastic, with 3 clean sheets in the league, which saw Clyson make 2 of those. Also, Hugo continued cooking with 2 braces, including one in a 3-2 victory over Bristol Rovers. That saw him win the Player of the Month, while I earned the Managerial Award. October continued that trend. An away victory past Pompey, scoring 3 in the first 9 minutes against Stockport, along with 3 more dominant victories with Wigan, Accrington, and Oxford United. The latter, by the way, had Ole, but not for long. There was a single blemish though, and that was done by Notts County. Despite Woodcock's early opener, Notts would score 3 unanswered. When we finally decided to start playing again, Langstaff responded with an 89th minute dagger. Hugo's goal at the end was too little, too late. Nevertheless, 50 match days passed, and we were in first place. Only by a sole point, but with Rotherham to open November, we could maintain our lead with second place straight after. I think, oh, I don't love that though. Charlie Chroo. Oh, red card before the half, are you kidding me? Rotherham would go on and smash our net with a quadrus of strikes. We lost first place and would face the new leaders, Reading, next. Desperate to go up following their own Derby heartbreak, I completely understand. They did begin stronger than us. That's all well and good, but it doesn't matter when everyone is saying UK Night. Woodcock remembered his Manchester United penalty as he shot this prior to the half. The game was zooming by, and in the 69th minute, we would regret that earlier miss. Horrendous marking and goalkeeping there, meaning we would remain in second on goal difference. It was tight towards the top, so we needed to let everyone know who we were, and Cambridge were the unlucky team in our way, smashing them with 6 different scores. And to round out the month, a scarlet brace against Bradford City. Those results, along with Reading going on a poor run of form, returned us to top spot. If we could maintain this post-dreaded December, promotion was a real possibility. It began with 2 narrow victories, which was concerning compared to the previous few. That worry was warranted, as we faced Wrexham. I thought I wouldn't have to see these guys' faces ever again. Promoted with Exeter, Accrington, and Carlisle, Max Woodcock would open the encounter. However, the match was drab, yet we could have sealed the deal in the 70th, and Woodcock would miss from here. You can tell where this is going, as in the 84th, a free kick sent to the far post saw Wrexham equalize. Damn you, Mr. Deadpool. It was going to be a yo-yo type month. A windfall versus Bradford City. Woodcock! Then a draw to Shrewsbury. Back on our feet with a dominant win over Carlisle. Not so fast, with Portsmouth earning a draw thanks to a lucky deflection. Fortunately, several teams faltered along the way too. Plus, we had a game in hand, and that was played on New Year's Eve at Stockport County. While we hadn't lost to them since our League 2 days, a quick opener from Isaac Oleoff had Edgeley Park singing. Kevin Nolan's men were giving us a difficult day, and Ben's missed interception wouldn't help things. Despite UK Knight's incredible response, we couldn't find another in this tightly fought contest. With the new year rolling by, no transfers would be made, but we did play Aston Villa in the FA Cup. Managed by Daniel Farke, they've never fallen below 10th place during my adventure. They had a fairly strong lineup, but we nearly opened it up, but MJ couldn't deliver. Not sure if that's a worse miss or this one from Omari Kellyman. Fast forward to the second half, scoreless, and MJ loses the ball in an unideal area. Villa would build themselves up, and Jan Duran would slot in the opener. Highlight off the kickoff. Hugo, let's go. Hugo's first on it. Few people are in the box. Penal! I'd start to waste time now a little bit, lower the tempo a tad. But before those changes can be made, we have a highlight. Hugo, Knight, can he find a cross? No. Wait, we're in their box. Reed, what does he see? Joe Reed, 2-1, Crewe. What is going on? Maybe I should have made them now, but Villa, they're scared of us. Losing the ball easily. Thompson, so much space. Scarlett, Dane, to the cock of Wood. Reed again. Joe Reed, what do you see? What an upset, and the magic of the cup continues to live on. While we didn't make that much money from this game since we hosted it, the following round would see us visit Tottenham, and the bank balance shot up. We narrowly lost, but I can't fault the heart this team showed. It was only getting better, winning all 3 of our league fixtures that month, including revenge over Notts County with a 4-1 beatdown. Notts started the season well, and I thought they'd be promotion favorites with us. Unfortunately, hit the fan for them, seeing dapper Scott Brown sacked and Langstaff's 22 goals wasted. Our lead in the table was expanding, but I have to mention a prestigious competition, the EFL Trophy, better known as the Papa John's Trophy. Or should I say was, because apparently it's called the Bristol Street Motors Trophy. It doesn't hit the same. This is a competition where 3rd and 4th tier clubs compete. It starts as a group stage from the North and South section, which then turns into knockouts. Pretty cool idea. Until you realize every group has a youth side in it. Imagine having to face a side like Chelsea with David Washington, who's making $53K a week, which is half of my wage budget. Still, the youth sides have never won it, but Crewe Alexandra had over a decade ago in 2013, where the competition had a different format. That's the club's only trophy in its history, if we ignore the JD Walsh Cup from the 30s. This year though, seemed to be our year. We won our group with ease, although Leeds under 21s were just as challenging as their first team. In the northern section knockouts, we got by Huddersfield Town and breezed past Preston. That gave us Barnsley in the quarters, and I have some beef with them. In the summer, I tried to sign Brazilian striker Wendell, a former Porto player with little success in the country. He chose Barnsley instead of me. Maybe it was a blessing, since he was dreadful for them and didn't make the bench against us. Oh, come on. Thankfully, we responded a minute later with Woodcock. Fast forwarding towards the end of the half, and Adam Phillips is unopposed again and dribbles into the box to retake their lead. Yet, we didn't back down as it became the Phillips versus Woodcock show. Now past the minimum allotted, Romeo only needed to throw to one of his teammates and have them clear the ball. He threw it right to Barnsley. They found Phillips, who laid it up to Barry Cotter. Oh, Romeo, wherefore art thou, your f***ing brain? How would we respond after the break? Oh no! Don't ruin their chances here! Ref, you fraud! He clearly got the ball! What are you on, referee? He tackled the ball! Oh my gosh, we're out of the EFL trophy. I don't give a damn cup. Despite some disappointing results in the last few months, we can't deny that we're in a great position, and February will be defining. Whether it was Hugo, Scarlett, or Woodcock, our striking threat was unmatched. 23 goals scored, which saw 5 from the Wood, 4 from Dane, and 5 from Tier 3 Holland. 5 wins as well, including both Reading and Rotherham. There were 2 away losses, but we separated ourselves from the pack with a 10-point gap with as many matches remaining. Promotion was nearly guaranteed, and with Mansfield Town tied 2-2, Hugo would grab a hat-trick in the second half to earn us another win. Bristol Rovers followed with UK Knights brace, leading to consecutive victories. Exeter nearly stalled their train, but we're the railway men for a reason, as our captain Luke Offord stepped up at the last minute. More thanks to poor defending from the home side. Others continued to fall apart, and Stockport, who were the only competitor doing well, were already too far behind. Our last fixture of March was defeating MK Dons, and with an international break pausing games for us, that wasn't the case for other clubs. That led to March 26th, 2027. Where after most clubs played their 42nd match day, we looked on and saw Reading draw Rotherham. With a game in hand, we were 14 points clear and crowned the winners of EFL League One. A tad anticlimactic for our first trophy, but it was a dominant season. Our final 5 matches were used for Hugo to chase for 30 league goals. A feat only hit by 4. Well, since the competition is rebranding, because it gets a little confusing, it doesn't matter right now. What mattered was this penalty against Charlton, as Hugo hit the big 3-0. While we did suffer our worst ever loss as manager versus Cambridge on the penultimate match day, the final would see one of our best. It was Wrexham, and Joe Hugo grabbed 4, seeing us defeat sad little Reynolds 5-0. That had us finish on 103 points, the most since Wolverhampton in 2014. An incredible campaign, seeing us dominate the statistical charts in every aspect but yellow cards. Stockport County would join us in automatic promotion. In the playoffs, another club who we started our adventure with joined up, MK Dons, who defeated Reading in the final. Oh my, what an awful few years for those fans. If the step to League One was like running up a hill, then the championship is a bloody mountain. With the lowest salary in the division and the budget matching that, did we have any chance to even survive? Freeze and loans, baby. Several came in, and while most wouldn't help us on the pitch, we did get upgrades at fullback. Get the hell out, Ben, as Simon Davy was our new starting left back. Romeo, oh Romeo, get out of this town, mate, as Calvin Ramsey took your place. I was stunned that I pulled this off, although him arriving injured may be the reason. Then technically not a free, but I spent 54k on this Czech center back, who I immediately pissed off for not signing another Czech player by the end of the window. We were forced into a sale, and that was Alex Matos to Frankfurt for at least 3.1 million. To replace him, we loaned in Michael Olakigbe from Brentford. Then, it was time for the Man City connection. Harrison Parker returned on a free transfer, and City allowed 2 free loans. A pair of strikers, both from Scotland, who may be too good for this division. Motherwell's born and bred Dean Martin, who scored a brace on his debut versus Middlesbrough. Finally, Bridge of Dawn's finest, Jordan Hanratty, joined too. He was slowly implemented as our boy Max Woodcock shifted to right wing. Despite a boring debut in England's second tier, we remained undefeated in our first 6 fixtures. It was a nice surprise, especially when that included defeating our rivals Stoke City at their house. Long may it continue.
Watch your profanity.
A center of gravity.
It was a rough month, ending with Derby County. The playoff pain 2 seasons ago is etched in my memory, and we failed to get revenge. 2 goals for them prior to the half was sufficient, as Dean was our sole scorer. However, their manager Nigel Clough would resign before the new year. Not for some shady scandal, but instead to become North Macedonia boss? Going into October, a bunch of players came to my office door. To explain this, we have to go back to this summer. Since we are now a championship club, I guess several who have never earned a lot of money in their careers expected lavish wages, even after their percentage boost. I respect the work that they put in, but I didn't think they deserved over double what they made. However, it didn't help when Calvin Ramsey joined on the highest wage, only for Dane Scarlett's match highest earner clause coming into effect while sitting on a couch with a broken leg. And that's why I forcibly loaned him out. Thank you, Sheffield Wednesday.
Oh, we're playing Sheffield Saturday.
Sheffield Wednesday, Saturday.
We gotta play them twice in the same week?
Returning to the task at hand, the lads concerned were the ones I failed to give contracts to. I may have also promised them deals. Realistically though, all we have to do is win games. 4 of them agreed, but that wasn't the majority. It's a shame this had to be spearheaded by Hugo, making it easier to start the Scots over him. That was the best decision, with Hanratty grabbing a brace of assists in a triumph over Lincoln. Sorry, Tom. Unfortunately, with Sheffield United, they had a hot start after the interval, leading us to despair before playing a recently relegated side. It was the final match day of the 2027 season, and with a 1-0 lead over last place Blackburn, Brighton would stay in the Premier League. That was until a late penalty being awarded to the Rovers, which they slotted, sending the Seagulls down. That shock led to a sale of £200 million worth of players. They were still favorites to finish on top. Managed by Emre Belözoğlu, who I'm surprised they hired based on this list of controversies, I had to be cautious. Unfortunately, I forgot about their danger man, Dan James. Bought in the summer, he began a tirade. A free kick moments later, we used 2 players to mark 5 guys. So obviously they passed it there and made it 2. By the 22nd minute, Dan James was found again, making it 3-0. An absolute disaster class, giving us a true humbling. The second half was a better response, but we were basically playing a Premier League side. But there's always one guarantee in life, and that is, my friends, that is Max Woodcock scoring. Let's go! Brighton started sagging off, and as a wise philosopher once said,
If you sag off, your swag's off.
as UK Knight got us within 1. Been in the dump a long time ago. Martin. Woodcock! 3! The 3! The Woodcock effect, back at it. With all the momentum with us, we had a final attack late. But Bayless has it, dodds again. Martin. Last seconds. Cleared away. We're still fighting. Ramsey, we're still fighting. We don't give up. What are you doing? Regardless, a respectable result that turned our season around. Smacking Swansea City at home, losing to Bristol City away. Wait, losing to Bristol City? Look, it's a championship. You're not going to win 11 games in a row, but 3 was more than doable. MK Dons and Watford being no match for Dean Martin. Blackpool though?
Let me talk to you.
That all led to Adam Ida completely embarrassing us. Man scored 30 by the end of the season, which had us sitting in a playoff spot. December used to be my least favorite month as a manager, but with Hogmanay coming up at the end of the year, our Scots from Manchester City leveled up. Versus Plymouth, we conceded early, but by the half, Dean Martin was able to even it up. Still, we were struggling to find a second, until the 95th minute. Oh, here we go, win it. Reed, Martin, Knight, one more pass, Hanratty, boom! 95th minute winner! A Scotland win followed versus Birmingham, leading to Nottingham Forest. Another side relegated from the Premier League, the Scottish duo would do it again, each grabbing a goal to hand us a victory. Luton Town then saw Hanratty open it up 7 minutes in. We don't talk about the rest of the fixture. Our historical rival Stockport weren't having the hottest of seasons. However, they made things difficult for us. Actually, we did that by conceding a pen. Joe Reed's equalizer was all that could be mustered, as we dropped more points. Like I said, it wasn't always perfect, but with our Boxing Day fixture with Plymouth again, this would be televised, and adding Woodcock to the Scottish porridge grabbed the attention of many. That, alongside a victory over QPR on the 29th, brought on Hogmanay. Table-wise, we sat in 3rd, only 3 points behind the title challengers. I, of course, was getting plaudits as a manager, but my assistant Ryan Dicker was too, as he backed himself to become manager of Accrington. Alright, Colo, here's a pay increase to deal with the press conferences.
I don't speak Scottish yet.
The new year saw the same quality from Scotland's best. Dean Martin getting us past Sheffield United, and Hanratty scoring versus Lincoln. Unfortunately, they equalized it late. With some FA Cup matches going on too, including Notts County, where they pushed us to a replay? Up 3-1, they scored in the 89th and 94th. Luckily, we easily won the replay, and Notts County's downfall continued to relegation. After another FA Cup win, we faced Brighton once more. They won up 2-0 within 36 minutes. Better than the previous attempt, and at least we scored before their third. Okay, they had to do it for us. Unfortunately, they would get that desired third. However, in the first of 8 minutes of added time, Academy boy Steve Dodds got us back in it. Can we pull off another 3-3 against Brighton? Another comeback. Woodcock, Dodds, Bayliss, Woodcock, Hugel. No! Pain. That was also the feeling of our two Man City Scottish strikers. Dean Martin got injured a day prior to this fixture, and Hanratty got hurt during it. He would be out for a month. So it was the return of the Hugel-Woodcock connection. Not a good start to that. Transfers needed to be made. In defense, I bought Hairullah Arslan from Spartak Varna. An initial 350k price, he would later be labeled Arslan, the Bulgarian barbarian. With a lack of Segundo Volante outside of Bayliss, I loaned Piero Quispe from Benfica, and while he can't play there, he'll learn. Finally, with the injuries, Woodcock couldn't be used at the wing, so the Armenian Artak Muradian was signed from Czech side Hradec Kralove. A steep price for us. In his debut, he didn't score, but Woodcock did with a 70th minute winner past Ipswich Town. The following week, we were down 2-0 to Hull City. It had been an agonizing game, seeing us miss some decent opportunities, including Ola Kigbe hitting the woodwork. He wouldn't miss his next chance. With all the momentum, we pushed into additional time, where Joe Reed's strike smacked the iron, but the ball bounced to Ola Kigbe for the equalizer. Not the result we wanted, but the intent was there. So, we meet again, Derby. With Dave Challinor as boss, the results haven't been great. That includes getting smashed by Cardiff 5-0 at home. Seemingly, it was going that way with us. Joe Hugel grabbed a brace by the half hour, and Bayliss added a third before the interval. Yet, they didn't give up, with Mainu making it interesting right after the restart. In the 79th minute, I began to sweat as Liam Thompson made it 3-2. Thankfully, the Czech guy to make Hanus happy and MJ both extended our lead, making Derby's third inconsequential. Finally, we smashed West Brom at home with our new signing grabbing a brace, the centre back. Despite the injuries to the striking Scots, we remained in reach of automatic promotion with 12 fixtures remaining. Now, the 5th round of the FA Cup versus Manchester City. Now, they haven't been as dominant in comparison to the Guardiola years with Didier Deschamps as coach. Regardless, we had both Dean and Hanratty returning from injury to give us a chance. Ineligible, damn you England and your parent club rules. Luckily, Manchester City had decided to be lenient and not play stars like Foden, Haaland, or Bernardo Silva. They did decide to play Camavinga, who they bought for £300 million and are paying him nearly quintuple of what my team earns. Ignazio's here too. Now, I nearly forgot to change my approach to this match, which would have been moronic. Yet, it was City looking nervous off a corner, as their former lad Ben Knight takes advantage of a mistake and is unopposed for the opener. We were impressive early on, with only the quality of the Citizens' back line keeping them alive. Then, prior to the half, corner kick, Ben Knight whipping it in again. It's 2-0! I couldn't believe it, but there was another 45 to play. Their attack, though, was mediocre, and we have Max Woodcock. Do you smell what the Woodcock is cooking? No, you don't, because it's offside. City's first sign of threat came from a corner in the 72nd minute, but just because they're underperforming doesn't mean they can't strike. On a counter-attack, they did just that, making for a scary end to the game. Thankfully, the clock kept ticking.
And the referee's blowing the whistle. Miracles do happen.
We were off to the FA Cup quarterfinals in a result nobody expected. The dream of playing at Wembley was near, and all we had to do was battle against Brighton. They scored 3 goals on us again. Thankfully, we still have something to play for. Following the Manchester City masterclass, we won 2 on the bounce versus MK Dons and Bristol City. Unfortunately, before the Brighton elimination, we would lose to Watford at Vicarage Road. That was to their caretaker. In a few weeks, they would hire their 5th manager in as many seasons. Following the Seagulls, it was disappointment again, this time at the Riverside with Middlesbrough. 3 straight games scoreless, and our 2 City Scots were underperforming. Now, I'm not saying Manchester City told them to sandbag it after our triumph, but I'm just putting it out there. Maybe my theory has some merit. That's because Dean Martin started versus Cardiff City, and while we quickly went 1-0 up, it could have been 2, but Dean was offside. Less than a half hour later, he just stopped running and supposedly broke his toe by running for the ball? Not even contact with anything? An absolute shell of his former self with no goals since his first injury. We would go on to win, including Hanratty getting his first goal contribution following his recovery. Just don't get used to that. 7 matches remained, and promotion was separated by goal difference. Could we pull it off? Losing to Blackburn wouldn't help. Forest went 3 ahead, but we had 3 home games consecutively in preparation for them. Blackpool was the start of those matches. They were basically relegated, but our Czech defender Hanus had a terrible few sequences. He misses the ball not just once, but twice, leading to Blackpool's opener. Unfortunately, we couldn't muster anything on the offensive end as we were 45 minutes away from an embarrassing result. Not long past the interval, they nearly made it 2. Now, many players have it rough adapting to the next step, but none can be truer than Joe Hugo, the star of our League One title. Not only did he lose game time to players who didn't put in the same blood, sweat, and tears, when he did get starts, the results showed why he didn't deserve them. There was also that meeting. With his team needing goals, he did what he used to do so often, find the empty space and tap it in. But what about the forgotten Scot? If we want to fight for automatic promotion, Woodcock is pushing, he gets there first. Woodcock, Hugo, boom! A late goal gave us the dub. Forest would draw Brighton, leaving us a point behind, and with another stalemate occurring to Birmingham, we had a chance to go ahead in our match with Stoke City. Local rivalry or local beatdown? 5 in the first 45, and not much more needs to be said. The last spot was ours, and with another win the week after against Birmingham, our 1-point lead remained ahead of our 6-pointer and likely promotion decider. Nottingham Forest survived the Premier League for 5 years until their recent relegation, and with Vincent Kompany now in charge, they had a dangerous front 3. Callum Hudson-Odoi on the right, Anthony Alenga positioned on the opposite side, with division's runner-up in scoring, Luis Suarez spearing ahead. 2 of them did not start. To begin, it was slow for about half an hour until Sani gifted us the lead. Or should have. Off the post! So close, but we'd regret it, as they soon came the other way, and a cutback was poorly parried by Klassen, leading to their opener. Still, we were confident in ourselves, and Woodcock was found one-on-one, but he couldn't score either. With everything to fight for in the second, that wouldn't last, as Forest doubled their lead not long past the interval. The rest led to more disappointment, as our opponents earned the 3 points. Unless something ridiculous happens, we'll be participating in the playoffs. In the following match week, as dramatic as our triumph over Sunderland was, Forest won, meaning nothing changed. On the final weekend, they had West Brom, while we faced our historic rivals Stockport. In order to give ourselves a chance for promotion, we needed to relegate them. They scored first. Hugo would equalize it prior to the interval. Then, in the final 45, West Brom took the lead against Forest. I didn't even think of the permutations of them dropping points, but we needed to win. With 30 to go, I have to believe in him. Woodcock. Hugo. Let's go! No offside, Hugo gets his brace, we're back in the lead. And Nottingham Forest are losing. We could be getting promoted, lads. Maybe. Ooh, Nottingham Forest gets 1. If they get 1 more, it's over. It's Jover for automatic promotion. That's what we're going to do. Any last minute drama? We're playing till the 98th. We don't see anything. Is this it? Is this it? I don't even know the results right now. It doesn't say, congratulations, lads, we're promoted. We got the result we wanted. Are we promoted? Wait, what? Oh, goal difference. I forgot. Oh, I'm a fraud. I didn't realize it was goal difference. That's embarrassing. I should have been going for more goals so we don't get promoted and Stockport get relegated. Oh, crap. Playoffs versus QPR. Like us, this wasn't expected, but with Lyndon Dykes up top, he paved the way for a fantastic campaign. Vladimir Pekovic's side was strong, but we hadn't lost to them this season. So part of me was already thinking of Wembley. Carrington, who's a dangerous player. Oh, wow, how did everyone miss that? And it's Dykes with the opener. We were bad on this day, and we're at a slight disadvantage for the second leg. However, at home, this is where we thrive. It was a stronger start, with Hugo nearly equalizing the aggregate in the 3rd minute. 120 seconds later, a free kick from Ramsey leads to Davi laying it off to Woodcock. What we needed, and we would easily find a second. We just need to defend this long ball. How are we letting Lyndon Dykes in behind? Offside? This guy's not even that fast. Oh my gosh, now we have VAR. Back to square one. I'm sure they teach you that in Bulgaria. What is that? No, what is this? What the fuck? 2 goals seem difficult, but we've done it before. This is unacceptable. We beat them at home pretty easily, I'm pretty sure. No words needed, as we followed another playoff semi-final. Cardiff City would defeat QPR in the final, and on the same day as our playoff loss, Ryan Dicker had a date in Wembley to take Accrington Stanley to League One. They lost 3-0. Also, Klopp got sacked by Laporta. Laporta is chairperson of Liverpool.
Chroo, can you go through your transfer dealings?
Of course. On freeze, we brought back Michael Olakigbe, signed this Arsenal Academy graduate, and brought Hook Laris from Fulham. On loan, Ashley Phillips joins us from Tottenham as a centre half. Then, thanks to the sales of Alessio Cavallaro to Ipswich Town for $2 million, and our academy graduate Benito Shinks to Brighton for a very kind fee, some great guys came in. Dominic Thompson to rotate with Davi, costing about $1 million. Then, Etienne Camara to compete with Joe Reed. He roughly arrived for $220K.
It seems you failed to mention the record sale of Calvin Ramsey to Cardiff City. A massive outgoing, but you don't have a proper right back for the start of the campaign.
Sometimes finding the perfect man can be difficult, but I'm sure by the end of the window, we'll bring some Portuguese right back on loan and a man from Japan who is versatile in multiple positions.
Well, what about striker? Rumors say there is bad blood between you and your affiliate club, Manchester City. Is it true that they refuse to loan you a striker? Especially with Hanrati loaned to West Ham?
I don't think I need to say anything, but to be fair, they did allow Dean Martin to join. He refused. Good news is that they let us bring in Fernando Gomez. He can't play striker, but he's learning. Also, West Ham allowed us to borrow David Oliver, despite heavy interest from Monaco. Finally, another attacking option is Heo Young Min. He's a great lad and only cost us $950K. So where were they all at training? What the fuck? My 2 starting strikers get injured before we start the season? Are you kidding me? Wait, what? August 6th? We're back to Hugo and Woodcock again. 19th in the season preview? Who do you think we are? Wrexham? Oh, great view. Wow. Ah, yes. Yoshinari Nishikawa. Welcome to the club. Oh, piss right off. Oh, wow. Oh, you just got here, man. Look, I need the injections right now. And I don't want to play Tom Booth in the championship. Actually, Woodcock, we can bring you off for Gomez. Oh, last minute. Come on, guys. Come on. I guess it depends when you ask. Here we go. Boom! Fernando Gomez! Mwah! From love with Argentina. Continue the injections. Oh, let's go. Bayless wins it back. Muradian, the Armenian. That's why we tell him to cut inside. Okay, we can leave him to the physios now. For now, we have Muhammadu Sar coming in for 5 months on loan. Oh, shib. Nelson, Willie Nelson. Oh, wow. Are we going to extra time? No. Offside. With penalties? What are they gonna do? Beat us? in front of the great stand of stairs and pillars. Stopped. Let's go. Sar does clear Yashin. Can you make a third save now, though? What a debut. It was 1-1 with Bristol City, specifically after a few offside goals. Boo! No! Ref! That is fraudulent! Not ref, linesman, what's your name? I don't care what your name is. Damn, his sleeve is offside. Whip it in. Wait. Reed, what do you see? Own goal? We take it. About to lose their first game of the season. Bristol, they've lost it. They've lost themselves. Oh, never mind. Knight takes it from Knight. Who's the real Knight? What the Burns? Oh, that's annoying. 6 to go, but we win the ball back. What is that header, man? Are you trying to give them the ball? Offside. Ref. Ref! That is offside! No! Knight. Prove who's the better Knight. Reed, what do you see? Knight! UK Knight. Hanu's hands in transfer request. Fulham. I want to see how many of their players are unhappy. Can this free kick turn into a winner? Davi. He's taking his time. Whipping it in. Phillips! Let's go. On loan from Spurs. He gets his Spurs for the club. Fringe player isn't good enough to get playing time? That's what he gets. I bring in more physios, we get more injuries. Oh, this is what I get for playing Gegenpressing. Pressing. Let's go to Plymouth. We have Thompson, which he's alright. It's better than Imari Samuels. Up 2-0 versus Plymouth. This happened. Bruh, guys, what was that? Focus up. Hopefully the damage isn't as bad as it sounds. No! No! No, 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 no! It might be the longest. Because we started this in November. Woodcock hat trick. But Woodcock, oh no, not a Woodcock hat trick, a Woodcock quadris. That deserves a handshake. So like 4 points within first place. It's within reach. Burnley's still in the relegation zone. Let's go Woodcock. Woodcock's not available. Is David Oliver back? Can he finally make his debut for the club? Per usual with Derby, this wasn't a normal game. All right. David Oliver on the pitch. Maximum Woodcock whips it in. David Oliver on his debut gets us back in it. Come on, win this header. And counter. Let's go, David. Oliver. Gomez. Send it behind. Oliver. Onside? Let's go. What a debut from David Oliver. What was that kick? What the hell was that? Thompson. Why? Why no? Oh no. Who spells Luis with 2 L's? Luis? In the 84th minute against Sunderland, drawn 1-0. Oh no. No. Oh my. Thompson, man. Why? It's always you. It's okay though. Hey yo. Boom! 3-2 from the south. Piss off, referee. Piss off. I'm so tired of these offsides. We'll encourage in the last 10 minutes. Someone did say about like 20 minutes ago, put a goalkeeper on the bench. Oh boy. I gotta accept a draw. No, not a corner kick, please, no. Okay, good. How do 2 of my keepers get injured in this season, man? So I gotta play Tom Booth for the next month. You haven't been making the best decisions lately, and we're struggling as a result. Again, you could have just told me that, 2 seconds ago, but it's good to, it's good to have these discussions. I think that was very productive, guys. Oh, crap, he's injured? Oh, piss off! Let's get him a game in the U21s today.
2 seconds later.
Good thing Clayson is back, my word. Another keeper injured. Oh, no, 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 no. Win the ball back. Win the ball. He's surrounded. He was surrounded, lads. No! Piss off! All right, let's see how we do against a tough Middlesbrough side.
3, 2, 1, go!
Piss off! It wasn't all bad, though, as we get a late goal versus Coventry. A 3-2 lead against West Brom, however. Oh, that's why the pitch is slippery.
Are you kidding me? Despite a lot of pain happening so far, we were still in a shot for promotion. The good thing was that none of the recently relegated sides were doing much of anything. However, in the FA Cup, we faced Manchester City again. Once more, they took us lightly, and we were able to push them into a replay. Not ideal since it happened 3 days before our match with Derby. Would it be worth it? No, they played Jamal Musiala against us, and Dean Martin scored. At least Wilcock can always say he scored against a team that signed a player for 300 million. 2 players actually. Derby County has turned things around. After sacking Challinor, they gave Stephen Presley an opportunity. Nevertheless, he's an ambitious man, whose team was being guided by Akor Adams, Iran Cashin, along with several names from their League One days. Like all the teams near the top, promotion wasn't expected, but not achieving it now would be a missed opportunity. Derby were applying a lot of pressure early, and with a controversial penalty awarded a quarter of the way through, they wouldn't go 1-0 up. Ball don't lie. By the half, we've been mediocre, but that means we can be better for the second. We weren't, conceding 5 minutes post the interval. I got a dose of deja vu, seeing flashbacks of the League One playoffs. But unlike then, pushing forward actually caused something to occur. Beautiful play off a throw-in led to a rather late equalizer. We'll take it, as we remain 6 undefeated in the league, and that run wouldn't stop. Consecutive clean sheets followed versus decent teams, including QPR, bringing forth a few January transfers. Due to Hale wanting to have a friend after moving from a city with over 2 million people, we signed Kim In-ho for 750k, not a bad option at center back. Then, a few Portuguese prospects caught my eye, who joined for 3.4 million combined, although David would have to be loaned for work permit reasons. Finally, due to Hugo's unhappiness, and maybe realizing he isn't good enough, the icon will be leaving at the end of the campaign. So, we bought Omari Kellyman for 500k. A loan presence for others? Now, he's here to aid in our promotion. Bristol City, like Derby, were exceeding expectations. Sam Bell was their maestro, and Ryan M.A.E. being their linchpin. We were able to gain the lead prior to halftime, no thanks to a missed penalty. But post the interval, things went wrong. M.A.E. immediately equalized, and he was key a handful of minutes later. We would hit the bar, and later, lose the ball. Bristol countered, whipping it into their danger man, who nodded it to Mehmeti. A complete 180, and we struggled to dig ourselves out. With it approaching added time, a lifeline arrived, as Bristol's Langas would get his second yellow, sending him off. In response, I decided to make the already attacking 4-2-2 more so. We would claim possession and headed on down. Passing in Swavin? Wait, what a mistake by O'Leary. Jose gets his first goal for the club on his debut. Let's go. An acceptable result, which was followed up by a few tight victories. That included a 97th minute winner against Plymouth from David Oliver. Since his injury, he provided a nice spark and aided in results over MK Dons. Blackburn, however, wasn't his game. Blackburn Rovers were fighting for promotion. They were recently relegated with Brighton and Nottingham Forest, but were the sole side to stay down. Their hope was to return on their second attempt, but after this game, that dream may have died. The South Korean wonder. A reason why I like playing the South Korean at left wing is because he's taller than any fullback, so a lot of opportunities arrived at the far post. Bayless Hale? Again? This man is on fire! What a performance! Oh, can he make it 4? No, but he gets an assist! 4-0 for Chroo. 3 goals and an assist for Hale. Wait. 4 first half goals for Hale, and he does a cartwheel. Oh my. 5? Oh my day. Hale's having the match of his career. His performance shadowed what could have been a nasty time for us. Clausen got injured again. With Sar's loan not being able to be renewed, I thought surely the Norwegian wouldn't get a fresh new injury. I was wrong. And since Tom Booth is still recovering from an ACL tear, I had to use a youth academy keeper, and the best was Graham Smith. He wasn't good. But thanks to Hale's dominant performance and the Rovers continuing to be atrocious, 8 goals will be enough, as I'd hate to be Blackburn. Maybe it was overkill, and while we matched a record, karma
must be a Blackburn supporter, as we should have saved some of those goals in the following fixtures. Versus Swansea, they clearly had shoot on sight on Graham Smith, as Cooper banged the opener. A couple minutes later, Hugo Novoa's shot deflected in. On the other side, Swansea had Lafont. We had to go through a freaking obstacle course in order to get within one. Sadly, due to a couple attacking injuries and Lafont balling out, our 14-match undefeated run ended. With 9 matches remaining, we were in an automatic spot, but I've seen this story before. Remember how I mentioned last season that Watford were on their 5th manager? They're now on their 7th. For good reason, as they're basically heading down. Despite maintaining a lead, the match wasn't simple, with the Hornets getting close several times. I suppose we were complacent, as a routine header was completely missed, leading to the equalizer. Into the final 10 minutes, the hunt was on for a winner, but somehow, we were the prey, with Watford finding it themselves. Where was the passion? Another relegated side gave us problems. This time, a 0-0 draw with Portsmouth. That lost our desired spot, although we had a game in hand later in the campaign. The fall off was looking real as we were level with Huddersfield, but this corner put a stop to that, with help from a deflection. How the smallest of touches can change your momentum. 5 was scored not just against Luton, but Birmingham as well, each seeing Kellyman grabbing a brace. That put us back into 2nd before our game in hand versus Stoke City. Can we do it on a cold and rainy night? A win jumps us 4 points clear of Ipswich, and Stoke would hand it to us. With how they played, 2 was all I needed, as promotion was getting near. Middlesbrough though, unlike Stoke, had something at stake. Currently in a playoff spot, their dreams could be shattered with bad results. That sucks for them, as they scored 3 in the first half. Despite Woodcock's best effort, our 4-point lead over Ipswich dropped to 1, and on the penultimate match day, we hosted them. Vladimir Pekovic decided to ditch QPR for another chance at promotion with the Tractor Boys. It was a move that was paying off, and Ollie Steele's opener put them in 2nd. Temporarily. Seriously though, what were we doing? It was only a slight bump, as our opponents got a little unlucky with a tackle as Heo took advantage. We continued the pressure. They can't do anything but score set pieces. Here we are, Heo, Ola Kigbe. Boom! Back in the lead, back in 2nd. Maintaining the score confirms our dream, and a draw keeps it in our hands. Bayless, you lose the ball so often in bad areas, man. At least what I've noticed recently. Okay, Kim Min-ho wins. Nishikawa, no! Questionable decisions continued to hinder us, as a throw-in led to a penal? How are all the cheesiest things happening against me right now? Greenwood stepping up. He hits the post! He hits the post! I was thinking of going defensive, but no. We need to win. Here we go. Reed, what do you see? Davi to Heo. Great game so far. Oh, almost. Oliver will come on soon. Woodcock. Oh, Woodcock. It didn't look like it was on the cards. Woodcock. So close. Hey-oh! Let's go! Oh, the man of the moment. Hey-oh, Young Min. Makes it 3-2 Chroo. Time was wasted, and the ref blew his whistle as we were promoted to the Premier League. What a way to earn it. And while it would have been convenient to do it last year, the goal was still reached. In this end of season run, Tom Bayliss was on fire, grabbing 7 assists in the last 6 fixtures. That led to him earning the award for the best player in the championship. But not in the team this season? David Oliver would receive the rookie award, but he wasn't the only one of our loanees who excelled. Ashley Phillips was incredible, outside of a small period. Goal scoring wise, again, it wasn't just Oliver, as Heo Young Min grabbed 16 himself and assisted 7. Can't forget about Woodcock either, who got 10 himself. It was a grueling 10 months, with 4 clubs earning the point total that would have earned promotion last year. The 2 forced into the playoffs wouldn't join us. Blackburn, who received that 8-2 humbling, used that as motivation, going undefeated for the remainder of the campaign, returning to the Premier League. That means none of the relegated clubs are going back. Even crazier, Spurs won a trophy. In 6 years, the Premier League has changed quite a bit. Managers you know are likely gone, and the teams have shuffled. One of those being us somehow. With a relegation expected before our highest ever budget was spent, what could we do to make this group of lads compete in the Premier League?
They ain't believe in us.
The loans we had were great. Unfortunately, only one was able to stay, as Ashley Phillips became our record transfer. 18 million if we avoid the drop, in which we hope to pay. Edward Plettings would join him as his defensive partner, but with the lack of fullbacks, what should I do? Buy players that can play in those roles? No. Get in midfielders and train them there, as I did with Joe Moulin from Willem II, as well as Dario Isugo, to each play their respective flank. I needed another right-sided player, so Sandro Maldonado arrived from Barcelona, Ecuador, Barcelona. And he has to learn the position too. With Tom Bayliss getting into his 30s, I brought Martin Yanchev to train under his tutelage. Then, with a lack of attacking depth, I loaned in Adiele Eriugo from Porto on deadline day. Finally, for 4.1 million, Adam Olale transferred from Fulham. An absolute steal. I once tried to sign him years ago and failed. This time, I couldn't miss out. Of course, we have to say goodbye to those who helped us to this point. That's especially true with the icon Joe Hugo, who couldn't find a club for the rest of the year. Good news! Dane Scarlett finally left on a free. This damn guy earned over 80k for 2 weeks prior to his release because of his contract clause. Good riddance. All of that still had us slated for the championship. That led to opening day versus Manchester United. We faced them once prior. Now, the Red Devils were a side who didn't even qualify for Europe, although they somehow made the Champions League final. With Frank Lampard as manager, their attack seems scary with not Bruno Fernandes up top, plus Rashford, who's considered a legendary winger, but surely that's due to winning a World Cup, rather than his club achievements. On the right flank, Vorek was a guy who made my jaw drop. They also started Frank's son. Regardless, the start of our campaign began, and as I was setting up the music to play from the bench, I looked over and we scored our first shot in the Premier League, which may be a record, and I didn't even see it with my own eyes. While I have to thank their keeper for the empty net, United responded swiftly with a cross of their own, as the legendary winger beat Isugo to it. Then, prior to the half, Mickey Mount found Fernandes in behind, and he made no mistake. It looked like we'd been in deficit at recess, but instead, we attacked them, and our English winger Ola Kigbe will be brought down for a penalty. Our South Korean Heo, whose name is apparently pronounced as Ho, would level it. A thrilling first 45, but could we continue it?
Why not? Everyone else is doing it.
We nearly conceded a pen, but it seemed that VAR became competent by 2029, as the decision was overruled. That was contrasted with the 74th minute, where Olale was tackled, and this wasn't overturned. I suppose Prem refs are the best refs. With the Englishman stepping up, a huge shock was on the cards. Can he grab a brace? Olale, olale, olale. Wow. We'd concede a minute after and lose. Genuinely heartbreaking, and that was a vibe to open the season. The second match was with Brighton. With them losing to Derby a week ago, they would go down 2-0 thanks to Olale. Then, bad luck occurred in the 73rd, as a lot was happening, and unfortunately, a rebound ended at Wahi's foot. A couple minutes later, Brighton got back into our box, and with the smallest of spaces, Ellertson brilliantly equalized. A huge disappointment to bottle a 2-goal lead. Following what seemed like a comfortable winning position versus Norwich was lost 19 seconds into the half. Moving into the 72nd, Norwich had a corner, and the delivery was terribly cleared as Sargent smacked his shot off Adinger's noggin for the winner. I don't know what it is with this time of the game. What easily could have been 9 points turned out to be a 9th of that. Southampton once again became a respectable Premier League club. To begin the campaign, they defeated both of our promotion buddies and were aiming for the trifecta. We can't let that happen, and did something we were averse to: defending. We were limiting their chances, and in the second half, a free kick was earned. Ben Knight delivered, and Kim Min-ho nodded it in. Crewe Alexandra had finally won their first Premier League match. This was a feeling we couldn't lose, but versus Brentford, we were. Substitutions were necessary. and that included Max Woodcock. Olale was found behind, and he'd link up with a wide open Woodcock. He joined names like Billy Sharp, Gary Hooper, Steve Finnan, and others to score in each of the top 4 levels of the English pyramid. That was also his only tally. A draw would be sufficient, but we kept going. And in the final moments, Crespo made him. Crespo! 94th minute winner from the man from Portugal. I just threw him to left wing, and he delivered. With 2 victories in a row, how many more can we get? Granted, we did defeat Nottingham Forest comfortably and drew Tottenham thanks to Ola Kigbe's late equalizer. However, 5 losses plus a draw to Villa where we balled a 2-goal lead, providing additional pain. Barely sitting outside the relegation zone, we faced Blackburn, who were tied with the same points and goal difference. At home, we should be able to handle them. Plus, they were defeated 8-2 last time. Unfortunately, Ho Young-min didn't score 5. He got 1, but that was after Blackburn's opener. The poor form was impacting us on the pitch, and from a corner kick, the Rovers found a bit of luck to grab the lead as they got their revenge. Tommy Wheeldon Jr. was doing brilliant work, and I was surprised to learn his previous jobs were in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Crystal Palace was going terribly. 2-0 just past a half hour. We needed luck, and Aaron Hickey provided that by getting sent off. Facing 10 men in the final 45 was challenging, but once Joe Reed opened his account in the 70th, the floodgates surged. 6 minutes later, Palace would flub it up, and less than 90 seconds later, Knight would tap home the winner. All of that only to host Derby County at home and lose. By the way, guess what happened during the game? Klassen got injured! How many times, man? And I'm a complete fool because I didn't learn from last time. No keeper on the bench, meaning Plentings had to deputize. The Norwegian will be out for nearly 2 months, meaning Tom Booth joins Woodcock in the League 2 to Premier League glory. You at least love to see that, especially since he kept a clean sheet on his debut, as Plentings played his correct position and scored. Unfortunately, Booth showed his level, subsequently receiving 2 humblings. Everton at the Branley-Moore Dock, and Arsenal at home. That wrapped up the midway point of the campaign, with Crewe Alexandra barely avoiding the drop. Now, there's still another 19 games to go, and a few issues became apparent on both sides of the pitch. Also, our midfield could be improved, especially with Camara leaving the club and Bayless dying in about a month. Thankfully, the board kindly increased our budget to a shy under 22 million. I didn't think it'd happen this soon, but it was time to go to South America.
I gotta tell you, it was perfect.
To the disgust of every single River Plate supporter, 2 of their hottest prospects were moving from Buenos Aires to a place they probably never heard of. Defensive midfielder Agustin Ruffini joined, just to get injured a few weeks later. Alongside would be Tomas Roldan. The beautiful Argentine looked good on paper, but with these 2 joining for a combined 22.5 million, if we avoid relegation, will the pair turn out better than what happened with West Ham over 2 decades prior? To round up our South American shopping, Edwin Mafia joined from Atletico Nacional. Lastly, I bought a backup keeper from Fulham named Eli Harrison. 2 of the signees would get their debut in the FA Cup at Rotherham, where Roldan scored. A sign of things to come. In their Premier League debuts, we went to the Amex to meet Emre Belözoğlu's men. The experience was odd, as the normally dominant Seagulls were vapid. After earning a penalty, Ho Young-min broke the deadlock. Moments later, our Argentine was found. Roldan! It turned out to be simple, with all our new signings making an appearance. To continue our climb out of the trash, we hosted Manchester United. Points-wise, they've been similar to last season, and that was showcased in our match. 5 goals were scored by us. Now, 2 of them were in our own net. Thankfully, Ashley Phillips in the 79th and Olale in the 85th gave us a 3-2 win. Despite Lampard's Reds being a clown show, they actually went on to win the Carabao Cup in pens and the FA Cup. That led to these headlines. Lampard leads Man United to glory! To Lampard on the verge of the sack. Fickle world. Unfortunately, the aftermath of defeating United saw our star Olale suffer a brutal 2-month injury. With Roldan still adapting to life at the Crewe and Eriugo at AFCON, we ran into a difficult FA Cup encounter with Chelsea. Not like that matters since we gave up 2 goals in the opening 10 and were down by 3 by the half. Kim Min-ho was especially poor, and having 3 center backs wasn't going to be smart if we wanted to survive. So on deadline day, I attempted some loans. First was Bastien Mepio of Porto. However, his deal was taking ages to resolve. To be safe, I went for some other guys. Emin Cospo of Barcelona. Only for him to reject me, despite saying he would be interested. Then I reluctantly went to our former affiliate club and asked for Daniel Flood. They accepted, and approaching the final few hours, he agreed to join. But the French lad was on the table, and I'd prefer him. So I rejected Flood and waited. The deadline passed. How did this deal not go through? I put this offer before deadline day began. Plus, I sold Harrison Parker to Derby, so this was a complete disaster. So was Southampton, who defeated us after Harrison's poor game, and Brentford beat us at our house. A 2-0 lead versus last place Norwich? Well, the returning Clausen was having a stinker, and Joe Reed allowed Ouattara free by not doing his number 1 job. Marking! A 2-2 draw, which we were lucky wasn't a loss. Luckily, we had a 5-point gap from relegation, but with a difficult set of matches upcoming, we could drop further down. Now, imagine this world. Mauricio Pochettino is still Chelsea manager.
I am not a clown.
You might think that Chelsea have been relegated, but they've actually finished in the top 4 for the previous 4 seasons. They were competing with City for the title, but the citizens were starting to become too strong. Yet their young squad had turned out well and actually extended past their initial 8-year contracts. Along with them, they had Benjamin Šeško, who became a danger man, Karim Adeyemi, who maintained his speed, along with Gilles Rest in goal. Our plan against Chelsea would be parking the bus. It was the first time I went defensive this year, and it was working. They kept missing and got frustrated. Unfortunately, a top team versus a mediocre defense will eventually lead to a goal. Šeško found enough space, and he nearly doubled it 2 minutes later. Fast forward to the final 20, and I brought on Roldan. It seemed like a steep task for an 18-year-old Argentine, but with an innocuous ball from Moulin not being dealt with, the kid would equalize. Our approach went from sitting back to standing up to them. Stamford Bridge had a sigh of relief when we hit the bar in the 90th, but the nerves wouldn't go away. I should have probably went off balance. I probably should have went back to defensive, but we've been creating chances. Roldan! Roldan! You have 1 man in support! Oh, Roldan! 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 Let's go! Roldan! Batigol-esque, we defeated Chelsea in stunning fashion. That followed up with a routine 2-0 win over Leeds. While Roldan didn't get a goal contribution, he was doing the right things, just not against Forest. But the returning Eriugo was able to find the sole strike. 3 wins on the bounce led to Liverpool. However, they weren't having a great campaign, seeing Luis Enrique sacked. That led to Barry Lutas becoming the interim manager. Despite starting strong, things went downhill by March. Against us, they couldn't hit the net to save their lives, as we escaped with a scoreless draw. This unbeaten sequence grew our gap from the drop by 10, with 37 points seemingly being the relegation benchmark. 1 more win may be enough to get rid of our worries. Conveniently, we faced Spurs, who were recently eliminated from the Champions League. They, along with United, were disastrous domestically. Diego Simeone won their first trophy last year, and the future seemed bright. It's the hope that kills you. It looked ugly for them, especially with our guy Olale back. Spurs still had a threat, and his name was Saka, Friedrich Saka, who hit the post, but was offside. Fast forwarding to the second half, Spurs became desperate for an equalizer, although their defensive shape led to a 3-on-3 counter-attack, which they wasted as we countered the counter, heading the other way as the ball ended up at Ho Young-min, and like his idol Son Heung-min, he'd score at the Tottenham Stadium. A 2-0 victory, passing them in the table. This all but guaranteed our safety from relegation before the international break. After getting pranked by my medical staff on April 1st, we did lose to Manchester City and their £1 billion squad. they wouldn't be blue billion-pound bottle jobs, as they ended the season on 97 points, with Haaland tallying 38 times. Thank goodness Sheikh Mansour is downscaling their funding. In our final 8 matches, there was a wide range of results. Snorefests like Aston Villa, losing to a deflected long shot against Blackburn, Kai Havertz destroying me, and losing a 3-1 lead to Everton in the 93rd minute. However, we also came back from 2-0 down to Newcastle thanks to Olale and kept 3 clean sheets, including the destruction of Derby County. Ashley Phillips grew as a player and impressed in the back line, Moulin became comfortable in his role, and other youngsters began to settle well. Plus, Olale won PFA Young Player of the Year. An 11th place finish is more than I asked for, but if you believe the stat nerds, it could have been higher. Some improvements are required, but I'd hope to be Conference League dreaming soon. By the way, how is Ryan Dicker doing?
Sacked in the morning!
I was dreaming of the Conference League. But how are we supposed to get there?
Hey, you know what my grandfather says? What? Get back to work!
It was a season that began wonderfully, with us nearly defeating the champions at the Etihad. Only for a late penalty. And then an exciting end to Liverpool. They had Simeone Inzaghi as manager, and behind 1-0, Moulin did this to equalize in added time. However, in the 96th minute, okay, Asugo, Bayless, Reed, he sees Hale. That was followed up by the beatdown of Everton. We looked like the real deal, so against Wolves and West Brom, we didn't win. This was the story for the first part of the campaign, defeating Spurs and putting in a valiant effort against Arsenal where we won the second half, lose to Bournemouth, Brighton, and Leicester, 2 of which were at home. Newcastle, who were in first place, easy, a 2-2 draw. Chelsea with Pep Guardiola since Poch went to Real Madrid. We're defeating them. Well, until the 75th minute, where our guy loses Kendry Paez, and then 5 minutes later, Reece James. Southampton, Blackburn, and Derby, Picasso. At least we defeated Nottingham Forest, but all of that had us in 13th place, where fans questioned the tactic I was using. Alright. For some reason, I just said, F it, let's use an attacking tactic. While it did attack well, defending, it did not. So we scrapped this in December, and despite the results I mentioned being underwhelming, we were no longer losing. Technically a 5-match undefeated run, which turned to 6 against Crystal Palace. Roldan and Omari Kellyman contributed to the win. It seemed obvious that we were too good for the drop, but is European football attainable? Well, with the transfers of Castello Lukaba, I thought so, but he's not as good as you'd think. Sam McCallum was our most expensive transfer, but the experienced lad from Norwich wasn't doing so hot. A few youngsters came in too, such as this Ukrainian winger who barely improved. Along with that, there were players exiting. Sadly, UK Knight, leaving for Swansea, was the main out. Another one of our lower league heroes who wasn't quite cutting it in the Prem. Many will be sad, and even angry that he didn't receive a proper push. Although, I could have gotten more money if he left last year. The final noteworthy transfer from the summer was Noni Madueke. Nobody was giving him looks, maybe for his previous issues on the pitch, or his injury struggles. I thought he'd be class. So if he plays 25 times this season, we'll give him 80k a week. Before delving into January transfers, we had Manchester United to finish off December. Missing out on the Champions League, the manager they decided to hire to get back into it was Blackburn's guy who previously managed in Canada. Tommy Rielden Jr. was not on anybody's radar, but we faced off at the Mornflakes Stadium. Mickey Mouse scored in the 2nd minute. Not a great beginning, and it wasn't looking good for us. Prior to the half, United earned a penalty, and Rashford would score. Remembering the Euros nearly a decade ago. Still, United hit the iron again prior to the interval, so after a few adjustments, we came out swinging. It was like a new team stormed out there. Lukeba, who was temporarily moved to left back, confused the Manchester United defenders and keeper as an unexpected pass to Roldan gave an easy equalizer. Not too long later, we were playing some beautiful stuff, but unfortunately, Roldan got stopped on the end of it. However, off a corner, the ball ricocheted to the Argentine, and he would take the lead, which ended as the winner, Roldanistuta. If we focused on the cup side of things, we made the Carabao Cup semi-final. One step away from Wembley, our two-legged obstacle was Arsenal. Luckily, they weren't playing their strongest team, which wouldn't matter since we couldn't take our chances at home, while a different former River Plate striker made a huge difference. Roldan remembered being in the youth team at River and thinking, damn, he's tall. Even as adults, he's still over half a ruler shorter. But Roldan's partner Olale matched him in height and gave us a tiny sliver of hope. The Englishman had been barraged with interest from clubs all over England. That included Arsenal. He wanted to leave, and I told him, sure, for 130 million. With a contract until 2034, where's the rush? Unfortunately, in the second leg at the Emirates, this Delgado guy continued to put Roldan to shame as he grabbed a brace with Arsenal comfortably advancing. What about the FA Cup, you ask? Well, we made it to the 4th round, and with Plymouth in our way, we felt confident as we never lost to them. We were absolutely stunned as they scored an 86-minute winner on us, as Joe Reed loves losing the ball.
Oh, let's go! That's class!
The keeper in goal was Hoyenball, who arrived to potentially overthrow Klaassen. The now 30-year-old was having a tough campaign. 37 goals conceded in the first 19 fixtures of the season had me questioning whether he was good enough anymore. With 2 losses in the Premier League to open the new year, granted, we dueled supposed strong opposition. However, help was on the way. That came in an Italian package as Filippo Misori arrived from Hanover 96. An actual right back. On his debut, he aided in a clean sheet at Wolves. Then, on his home debut, not only did we see a Max Woodcock goal against Everton, we also saw the Italian score twice, having fans fall in love at first sight. Plus, another clean sheet, although that can't be solely due to Misori. Granted, he scored again versus West Brom, along with another shutout. Did we buy a whole new back line? Nardiello was recently relegated with Norwich and was desperate to leave with Chelsea and Real Madrid interested. Yet the 38 million release clause wasn't worth it to them, but it was to me. The problem was that I needed more money. The board increased it, but most of it was spent on the 2 names mentioned previously. Yet we got offers for puntings and said Ni Hao as 17 million was received. 20% went to the Belgian. There was also this. Okay, well, Ola Kigbe hasn't been playing much, and while I thank him for his efforts, we shipped him off to Derby for a little over 12 million. Still not enough. So I looked at Asugo and told him to get ready to learn some Chinese, pal, as 15 million was coming in.
Get ready to learn Chinese, buddy.
However, with deadline day arriving, the Portuguese man was taking his sweet time to make a decision. I already had Nartiello prepared as he was waiting in the trainer's room, yet Asugo was contemplating whether he was ready to learn Chinese. He thought about it for so long, the deadline day passed, Nartiello's transfer was cancelled, and since letting him leave now was pointless, Asugo stayed. Luckily, I had a backup plan, bringing in Samuel Cotto for 5 million. Nevertheless, he wasn't our backline savior. The man who turned around our defense was the teenager Randy Kaiser. I do understand that he doesn't look that great, but the $500,000 given to Villa was worth it. Remember the clean sheets in December? Kaiser started. Same with the ones in January. With Phillips injured, Von Kaiser continued to earn starts, and against Spurs, another clean sheet. A red card 8 minutes in did help, although they were tough to break down, and when we earned a penalty, Olale missed. I am aware I'm probably pronouncing his name wrong, but Olale sounds cool. But when he's needed most, Max Woodcock delivered in the 85th, giving us the double over Spurs. Even hosting Arsenal, who we've conceded to 10 times in 3 fixtures, they were kept out. Scoreless until the 77th, where Roldan, facing off with his hero Delgado, would finally score. We were moments away from finally defeating the Gunners, but a corner arrived in added time, and the tall figure of Delgado won it and grabbed the rebound. Not yet, little bro. Regardless, that didn't diminish the Kaiser effect. A late Madueke goal at Bournemouth, Roldan and Olale versus Brighton, Leicester, who were cooking this year, were impeded by a brilliant performance from Madueke. Newcastle at home? Well, we weren't winning. How did you get Madueke? Is he always so Oh, okay, I thought we just lost the ball. Oh, we just did. All right, take 2, lads. Oh, I was just joking. I was just joking. No! I was just joking. I didn't think you guys were going to be serious and lose the ball again. Granted, we just... Did it again! Should have taken this off after the first one. Despite that setback, we didn't give up our chase for a European spot. Bayless, I am about to sub you off. Maduke. Let's go! Then prior to the added minutes, do they have Marco Rose as manager? Because that's an interesting choice. Woodcock, Mafla. Maduke! That girl is a real crowd. A comeback worthy of continental football. 8th might be enough, but to be safe, we wanted to push further. Clean sheets continued as Chelsea away ended scoreless. Unfortunately, the international break could have brought a halt to our momentum. Thankfully, it didn't stop our defending as Southampton were defeated 1-0 and Blackburn didn't see us concede. Well, we didn't score either. Actually, we almost lost. But thanks to Kaiser sacrificing his life by getting sent off, we survived. But without the man, our mojo was messed up, as he got a 3-match suspension. That saw a 2-2 draw to Nottingham Forest. But smoking Derby County 4-0 placed us a mere couple points from a secure European spot. Plus, Brentford were our next opponents, and they were coming off a 5-0 destruction from Valencia in the Europa League. Yet, after taking a 1-0 lead, we conceded prior to the half, and less than 10 minutes after the interval to lose. Following, a stunning second-minute strike from Palace on the penultimate matchday sealed our fate into 8th place. Still a great season with solid performances from specific individuals. Yet, would we be Conference League dreaming? Well, the Carabao Cup was won by Arsenal, and they were already in the Champions League. The FA Cup was lifted by Leicester, who finished in 7th. Man City, who lost both of those finals, sacked Didier Deschamps. In addition to Liverpool's Conference League victory and the UEFA coefficient place race giving England an extra spot for the Champions League, that means Tommy Wheeldon Jr.'s United earned Champions League. But that also means that we're Conference League dreaming. Let's go! With Crewe Alexandra never being in a European competition, let alone winning one, could one of our dreams come true to end our journey? Or what about our other dream? And actually get to play at Wembley, whether in the Carabao or FA Cup. With 85 million, I better hope so. We had to defeat Casapia over 2 legs in order to properly qualify for the Conference League. Prior to that, some shopping had to be done. We got a rain check on Josh Nardiello to a sigh of relief. The center half who can play on the right was crucial because I hate Portugal.
Porque ele disse foda-me.
Dario Asugo got sold to Burnley, but don't worry, he's got a friend in João Crespo. Then David Tavares Fernandes, who I don't even remember if I mentioned him before, was sold to Leipzig. 15 million for each. I didn't dislike all countries who could speak Portuguese, since Brazil improved our attack. Antonio Barzaghi joined our wings with his great overall game, but does lack consistency. 15.5 mil was given to Fluminense. Add 2.5 to that total, and Palmeiras were forced to hand us Fernandes. Just Fernandes. An incredible striker option, which didn't make Roldan too happy. That was all my summer ins, and while there were a few failed signings exiting, it is worth saying goodbye to one lad. Yoshinari Nishikawa, who was desperate for the Stuttgart move. A good locker room guy, we wish you the best in your single appearance. With all those transactions, could we officially begin Conference League dreaming? Well, it would be pretty embarrassing if I sold 3 Portuguese players, just to lose to a bunch of them. Casapia did brilliant work to finish in 5th, but with a loss to Feyenoord, they dropped to our competition. Throughout this adventure, their country does have history in Europe. Sorry, Benfica. However, Casapia seemed below our level. By halftime, the Mournflake Stadium saw 3 for us, but Pablo, yes, just Pablo, got Casapia a sliver of hope with individual brilliance. We were blazing, but the 420 kicked in after the break. The Chroo showed weakness as Pablo dribbled down the wing with everyone missing his delivery except for Charles Yuki. Not a result I was too pleased with, but maybe it was coming. In our opening 2 games of the Prem, we conceded a 95th minute equalizer to Leicester and only defeated 10-man Brighton with Missouri's strike in the 91st. Although, prior to our Lisbon travels, Leeds was not an issue. Maybe I'm overthinking things. That thought quickly rushed out of my mind when Casapia equalized the tie on their first shot. The tiny Estadio Pina Manique was bumping, and it was impacting our players' ability to finish.
How do we keep missing? How do you shoot that for a throw-in? Coming out of the interval, we relearned how to take our chances and ran rampant on Casa Pia. 3 goals in less than 15 minutes ended in an uncomfortable tie, confirming qualification. An undefeated start in the Premier League was nice too. Granted, before facing any big challenges, our Conference League journey began. Finish in the top 8, you go straight to the round 16. 9 to 24th means you fight in a playoff round. Along with us, the favorites were Fiorentina, FC Köln, and Real Sociedad. So it all began in Croatia, at Rijeka, where their club went through a grueling 3 rounds of qualifying. For our lineup, part of me wanted to use guys who've been here for the longest or have become favorites, Roldan included, who did well to open his European account. On the other hand, it had problems like Kaiser. Ever since his red card last season, he lost his confidence and succumbed to terrible mistakes, including this one for the equalizer. Moments later, Rijeka would make it 2. The miracles of Kaiser wouldn't be repeated, seeing him loaned out in January. Forgetting about that, we needed to make a comeback, and the second half substitution of Noni Madueke turned this around. The 30-year-old did get his wage hike and proved his worth by assisting Cotto off a free kick. Shortly after, he would find the winner. What these results taught me was that these fixtures weren't going to be simple. Sturm Graz confirmed that, mostly due to a calamity of errors allowing them back into the match twice. That earned them a draw. Belarusian side Dynamo Minsk followed. At Mark Overmars Park, who decided to name a 60,000 plus capacity stadium for him? Regardless, this wasn't as stressful, and that can be attributed to Max Woodcock, who assisted 3 times. It was nice to have that fixture, especially with Köln upcoming. A respectable side who finished in 7th with the likes of Eamon Kari, Eric Martel, and Nacho Ferri. Unfortunately, Andre Breitenreiter's side played Park the Bus. Despite a strong lineup ourselves, we had trouble breaking their lines of defense. The woodwork helped them too. As the game went on, we got closer to their breaking point, and in the 59th, Olale broke the deadlock. That was enough as the clean sheet was maintained. Thankfully, the sweat these fixtures provided cooled down. Aberdeen away was surprisingly easy, with a 3-0 thumping. Finally, hosting Sheriff Tiraspol saw no shady business with 4 goals in 29 minutes, although they started defending for their lives afterwards. Regardless, the league phase was done, meaning we finished in 2nd, seeing us automatically qualify for the round of 16. Meanwhile, what happened domestically? Thanks to Olale and Roldan sitting on the bench, Delgado didn't come out as we defeated Arsenal for the first time. Undefeated so far, that saw us on top. Should I add another dream to this list? Maybe the Premier League dream belonged to them. It was a difficult portion of the season as we visited the Etihad next and began with a bang. Ashley Phillips with a first-minute header even shocked himself, although City decided not to play their best keeper. At the end of the day, it is Manchester City, and they would respond with Rico Lewis. The Citizens, of course, were our former parent club, and their 2 Scottish lads we had on loan developed incredibly. Hanratty unfortunately wouldn't get as many starts as Dean Martin, who got subbed off for being crap. Fast forwarding to the final 10 minutes, an absurdly stupid goal to concede, but only a few minutes later, we responded with Kellyman at the far post. City then went from kickoff to take back the lead. And now we got another highlight off the kickoff. What's happening here? Roll down to Ho Young Min. Ho Young Min. Whip it in. Madueke! A game of ping pong it seems, but who would get match point? Neither. A 3-3 draw is all she wrote. The Chelsea scoreline would end similarly. Olale would put on a show, firing a hat-trick to give us a 3-1 lead. Yet, Guardiola's men responded swiftly as they'd earn 2 fairly quickly to give us another 3-all. Now, a different similarity to the City fixture occurred versus Nottingham Forest. In the 81st, Jory's failed interception led to Felipe making it 2-1. Forest got too confident, however, as Kellyman easily went down the right to find Roldan.
A couple actions later, we found ourselves attacking once more, and Joe Reed made up for his earlier error to grab the winner. That went alongside some big wins. 2-1 over Wolves, who similar to us, had a strong start, and the demolition of Everton, which was followed by a second one in the EFL Cup. Most teams had a match in hand on us and Newcastle, but we were there with them at the top. Let me quickly adjust the list of dreams. Away losses like that can happen, even to the best, but this didn't ruin our form, nah. We decided to go on another undefeated run. Derby smoked 3-0 thanks to Just Fernandes and Olale. Tommy Wheeldon Jr.'s Man United, easy. Phillips loves scoring against Mancunians, and Ho Young-min had a special match himself. To conclude the year, it was Liverpool at Anfield. After last season's shambolic league campaign, Zinedine Zidane had them on the right track. We've had a tough history at Anfield, but by the break, it was scoreless. Then, out of the tunnel, we were cooking, as Just Fernandes was sent in. Wait, Fernandes? Just Fernandes? Oh, how did you miss? That was our first shot, and when you don't take your chances, you end up doing something stupid.
You can't lose stupid.
Luckily, that shaked off our stupid, as unlike a man who blames someone else for his problems, we go out there and solve it with Olale. Unfortunately, we still haven't figured out defending set pieces. Thankfully, being down by 1 to Liverpool was easily solved, with Olale once more to equal it. It was bold of us to go somewhat attacking at Anfield, but entering added time, we kept our persistence. Off a throw-in, Madueke quickly received the ball and found the winner with his magical left foot. An offside scare prior to the end was the closest Liverpool got, as we earned a massive dub. With a messy Premier League table due to fixture congestion, it's hard to tell how this is going to shape up when everything evens out. Now, could we fulfill one of our dreams? Following a dominant win over Cardiff in December, we advanced to the Carabao Cup semi-finals. It's been a tournament seeing a plethora of scorers, seeing us grab 20 in 4 rounds. Returning to where we were a year ago, Pep's Chelsea would be our Wembley roadblock. Compared to last season, they were underperforming. Harvey Elliott was their sole investment, and their starting 11 had curious names like Andreas Becker, Luka Mallet, and Mark Jones. With 2 fixtures every week, squad planning was crucial at this stage of the season, and ours was a lot smarter. Am I saying I'm more of a genius than Pep? Well, look at the score. Former player Madueke, along with his sub Alexandra, provided a positive advantage heading into the second leg at Stamford Bridge. They responded with more attacking intent, but a first half goal from Olale knocked any momentum as we made it to Wembley. In a little over a month, we will play our first cup final. On our way there, results in the Premier League were mostly positive. Multiple 90th minute Madueke winners arrived, and Ho Young-min was approaching his resurgence. Leeds and Southampton, on the other hand, were the blemishes. The latter gave me whiplash, as the goals came quickly, ending our 14-match undefeated run. So why was Tom Booth starting? Another class and injury, you retort? Yes. Okay, not this time. Klaassen was our Prem keeper, while Hoyenhall was for the Cups. However, there were a few instances where I forgot to take out the latter for the Premier League. Okay, there were at least 5 occasions. And this pissed off Klaassen. I felt bad, but he wasn't having it. So when Salzburg made an offer for him, it risked unsettling him, and I didn't want any headaches. The offer was accepted, and Klaassen regrettably departed. It was unfortunate, especially when Hoyenhall got injured in the FA Cup versus Manchester United. We were smoking them as usual with a 3-0 lead, but the Norwegian broke his wrist by catching the ball. Luckily, I learned from previous experience and had Booth on the bench. After that Southampton loss though, I desperately needed a keeper, and Alex Paulson from New Zealand was our man. He looked very good for the price and would start for the remainder of the campaign. He was joined along with Andre Santos, who arrived to share the Segundo Volante role with Bayliss. On their debuts, a clean sheet was kept against Brentford. We also signed Bart van Rooij to make sure Nardiello wouldn't have to play right back. Except sometimes he would, since I didn't register the Dutchman for the Conference League. Regardless, with the final near, there were difficult matches approaching. Those were in North London, as Arsenal dealt with us quite easily, while Spurs ended in a 0-0 draw. However, 8 days before meeting Man City at Wembley, we had a dress rehearsal. They were playing a stronger team, including their two £300 million signings and their actual starting keeper. Although, they had this shrimp at center back, which gave me a strategy. Until they changed it right away when we nearly scored another first-minute opener. You're smarter than I thought, Vincenzo Italiano. Or maybe he wasn't, because we began dominating. Olale, followed up by Noni Madueke, and finishing up the half was Just Fernandes, making it 3. We doubled our goal tally by the end, as Manchester City were absolutely stunned. The only worry was that there was no way they would play this badly in our crucial meeting. Although, could we keep our attack rampant? It was the day we stepped onto the Wembley pitch. The Carabao Cup is sometimes dubbed as a trophy nobody cares about winning until you get to the latter stages, but not me. The final was my objective, and if we were here already, why not win it? We had to be sharp defensively early on, as a massive block prevented an early goal. Huh? Not the guy I expected to score on us. And City seemed to have stepped up their game. At least 20 minutes. Oh, win that. Let's go, Ruffini. Olale. Roldan. Get the guitar. Dubbed as the next Gabriel Batistuta, these big goals hyped up that comparison. Our opponent's response was a pathetic Haaland shot, and the right side of their defense was struggling, as our other South American Barzaghi gave us the lead on our second shot. Incredible scenes. But less than 10 before the interval, City showed why they were here, with Haaland being found for the equalizer. An incredible opening 45 for the neutral. Despite netting it twice, we had more in the tank. Here we go, Bayless, Misori. Madueke, inside. This is his spot. Oh, what a save by Truben. Corner kick, Madueke. Oh, Nardiello gets on the end of it, but another save by the Ukrainian. Barzaghi. Back post to Madueke. Back to Olale. Truben is on fire. 3 saves within minutes. Truben is saying he is him, and I can't deny that right now. It started becoming a back and forth affair, with us going one way and them the other. Keepers were stepping up, but entering the final 20 minutes. Oh no, corner kick for Manchester City with less than 20 to go. Haaland for some reason is taking it. Near post. Oh no! Mustafa Basoglu heads it and somehow beats both our keeper and defender. With all the work we've done so far, we can't lose it like this. Yet, they began taking control, but give us a sliver of a chance, and will... Wait, no, he's not. Barzaghi! Oh! Roldan, no! Oh no! Spaces opened up behind our defense, as no matter what we did, we wouldn't get another opportunity. Roldan had a 3-on-1 at the end, but choked it. Manchester City lifted the EFL Cup to our dismay. It's incredible how we couldn't score a single goal in the second half, but hats off to Truben for the massive performance. We fell short there, but there was still the FA Cup. Against Arsenal, it was 0-0 with it heading to a replay. Bayless back to Rouge, back post, Barzaghi. Oh no, Arsenal on the counter. Sirens are going off. Arsenal are on the counter. Oh no, Delgado's wide open. So much pain to conclude February. March, however, brought forth the Conference League round of 16, where we faced Rijeka again. They proved to be tough earlier, and the away tie was first. It also seemed like the bad momentum continued into this, with Alexandra tripping up Grachan in the 18th minute. Thankfully, Paulson made the stop, and despite the previous month's results, he's been great. It was difficult, but we'd find an advantage in the 60th as Max Woodcock was found for a tap-in. Overcoming a tough night in Croatia brought forth a more comfortable second leg. Bayless, Madueke, and a Ho Young Min brace was more than enough to send us to the quarterfinals next month. In that time frame, we'd be perfect. A late winner past Nottingham Forest from our guy Olale, followed up by 6 past Wolves. The Premier League table began to look interesting. Everton next would continue their crap form against us. They got within 1 with 30 to go, but Max Woodcock would close the casket late. That was fun. But back-to-back away fixtures versus Chelsea and Newcastle? Well, Pep Guardiola's fire was fading away as we took care of them with a pair of Brazilian strikes. That eventually led to Pep spiraling out and getting sacked at the end. Prior to Newcastle though, we ran into a problem. Barzaghi wasn't settling well in England, and that's understandable. Although the reason was that he failed his English course. I'll be honest, man, I'm surprised you're willing to admit that, especially in perfect English. Regardless, versus Newcastle, that didn't matter, as football is a universal language. His strike, along with Phillips, earned us a 2-goal advantage. Despite Newcastle responding with a heavy amount of artillery, they couldn't find the net until the 90th, which was far too late. Once thought to be title challengers, they were now 9 points behind first place Crewe. Even City's game in hand wouldn't be enough. This position was unexpected, but if we're in this spot, we'll do our best to maintain it. For the quarterfinal of the Conference League, Swedish side IFK Göteborg was drawn. They finished 4th in the league phase, but only got here through a penalty shootout win over Anderlecht. Realistically, we shouldn't be having problems with them, and Madueke's opening 13-minute brace set the tone. Unfortunately, Moulin must have been watching Haikyuu the night prior, as a handball got Göteborg within 1. Thankfully, we bounced back straight away with Lukeba and found a 4th from Woodcock. This tie seemed finished, but I did have to use a lot of my best attacking options. With Bournemouth on the weekend, we were a little fatigued. We lost to the Cherries earlier this campaign after they received a new manager bump from Bruce Sirachi. That was a caretaker, but now it was Andre Villas-Boas. I guess the Porto presidency didn't go well. Neither did the start of our fixture. We left 2 guys wide open for a free kick. Not good whatsoever, and we chased this match for a long time. In the 85th minute, luck came our way as Alex Scott on a platter provided Ho Young-min the equalizer. Trying to find a winner was halted as Misori's injury sent us down to 10 men. A draw wasn't ideal.
Oh, don't tell. No. No. No.
Now, Manchester City can pass us with their extra match. We defeat Göteborg in the second leg to confirm our spot in the semis. We'd also deal with Aston Villa and Derby with no issues. Unfortunately, City would also win on those respective match days, including their game in hand. Oh, only a point difference. They might mess up. These are their remaining fixtures, and these are ours. Fiorentina defeated Aberdeen in the Conference League quarters and had to face us for a spot in the final. Winners of 2 previous iterations, perfect through the league phase, their 2032 form. What the hell is going on in Florence? With a young prodigy manager of Aritz Elistundo, they weren't as good as I expected. You're seeing some of their best players on the screen so far, and while they're not bad, they ended up finishing 18th in Serie A. They're not relegated yet because they have a Serie A playoff versus Parma, who finished on the same record as them, which happened because they lost to them on the last day. Despite hosting the first leg, they were disastrous to watch. Sloppy passing led to Ho Young-min's opener, questionable defending provided roll down the next, and I don't even know what they were doing on the third. The second leg provided little resistance, as in the least dramatic fashion, we made the final of the Conference League. I'm very happy about it, yet disappointed from a team with so much history in the competition. That was in spite of several injuries our team was suffering. For a physio No Hyun Wook, Joe Reed's tipped him over the edge as he dipped. I was sad about it too, as Joe Reed could miss the big match. Now, could we pull the impossible and win the Premier League? No. Konanto's equalizer was all she wrote, as City gained a 3-point advantage. Plus, Misori got injured, meaning he will miss the cup final. On matchday 37, Italiano's side played the day before us and basically won the league thanks to Gonzalo Inazio's 86-minute winner. If we won, we'd be 3 points behind, but with at least a 10-goal differential, there would be no chance at the title. Regardless, we lost against United. Annoyingly, we finished in 3rd behind Arsenal. At the end of the day though, the Premier League was never my aim. We can stand proud with what we did. Olale finishing with 20 goals, Madueke having another solid season, and Ho Young-min earning the PFA Young Player of the Year with 10 himself and 4 assists in 10 starts. To make it even better, I won the Manager of the Year, and hopefully that wouldn't be my last trophy. You can enjoy those Manager of the Month awards, Tommy. Tbilisi, Georgia was where we headed. The Boris Pechat Sakayalobis Dinamo Arena hosted Crewe Alexandra versus FC Köln. After losing to us, they won the remaining league phase games, finishing in 5th. A tight round of 16 encounter followed with Heerenveen, where a 2-0 home win sent them through. Sturmgras in the quarters were destroyed at the Rhein-Energiestadion, seeing the Germans face off with Lech Poznan. You'd think the result would be obvious, but the Poles pushed them to extra time, only for a Pierre Langesberg brace to send Köln to the final. We've seen them already, and know what to expect. Prior to kickoff,
Hey, Ryan Dicker! Yeah, what's up? Good to see you.
Hey, how's it been, man? How's Sudden United?
Well, we just lost the semifinals, so yeah, it's nice of you to remind me. It's not good.
Sorry about that, but thank you for coming by, man. We got the box upstairs, so hope you enjoy the final. And yeah, you know, we got free drinks and stuff, so we have a good time.
Free drinks is exactly what I need.
our starting 11 was set up like this. Alex Paulsen in goal, who's only conceded once in this competition. Moulin picked ahead of McCallum at left back, Phillips in the center, paired with Castello Luqueba, due to Nardiello having to fill in at the right. In defensive midfield, Joe Reed wasn't ready to play a full 90, so Agustin Ruffini filled in. Tom Bayliss would pair with him. As with his contract ending, this would be his final match at the Crewe. The wings saw Madueke on the right, along with Ho Young-min playing as the wide target forward on the left. Up top, it had to be our best player, Olale, partnering with Roldan. Fernandes wasn't fit to start, coming off his injury.
Yeah, the audacity of that guy to mention the semifinal. Alright, let's see what we got here. We got a couple seltzers, vodka, alright, 77%. Gonna need something a little stronger than that. What? Who are you?
It's Joe.
Joe who?
Joe Hugo. A former player?
Joe Hugo. Right. Name rings a bell. I remember now. There's a reason why I left. It's because of you. Why are you here? Alright, Joe, I'm telling you, this really isn't the time, but... who?
Wagwan mate.
Sophisticated big fella saying Wagwan. Who are you?
Sir, this is my club.
It's nice to meet you, whoever you are, but I have no interest in finals right now, so please go away and leave me alone.
Pass me that one.
No.
I paid for that.
No, you didn't.
I paid for that.
It's free. It's free.
Who? Nothing's free. I paid for that.
No, you didn't pay for the final?
I'm
You didn't pay for the stadium?
I own you.
No bullshit. No one knows me. I'm probably gonna get sacked in the morning.
After all that nonsense, the final began. We're on their end. We're in their attacking third. Madueke on it. Ooh. Shot was cleared by their defender. Bayliss setting up the corner. Tom Bayliss whips it in. And Castello over the bar. Free kick, Madueke whips it in again. Bayliss over the bar. Looked a certain goal, the commentator says. Over 1 XG already. But we win it back. Ruffini on it. Finds Moulin. He finds Ho Young-min. Cut back. Roldan somehow.
I would have scored that.
No, you wouldn't have. No, you wouldn't have.
You don't even remember who I was.
I don't remember you and your hairy legs.
It was a first half filled with many opportunities, but the best chance came from Köln. Could have easily been 1-0 Köln. I'm pleased with the shots we've taken. Just keep that up, and I'm sure a winner will be found. Roldan, though, keeps going. Back post, punched away. Nardiello is going to take it into the box, or out of the box. Madueke, Bayliss, block. Are we playing a football match or listening to the block party? Oh, but Köln top the box. Even their own players are blocking their own shots. Insane. 50 minutes already. Still 0-0. We've played well. Can we finally get an opener? Ho Young-min. Oh, la lay.
Yeah! Go Axel! I love it.
No, not you. Here.
Thanks.
Of course.
This match was eerily similar to the one from the league phase, but that changed really quickly. Spencer on it again. Kari. Block it. Oh!
What the hell is that?
Gonna need more of this.
Defend. Come on.
Out of nowhere, Köln immediately equalizes 1-1. That was very disappointing defending. Very poor by Nardiello. And Bayliss finds Nardiello. Madueke. Olale. Ho to Madueke. Saved by Fruchtel. Retains it. Bayliss. Madueke. Blocked. Ho Young-min over and blocked, or saved, or whatever. I don't know what's going on. We're creating so much, but scoring so little. We've been dominant, but conceded a goal. Everything remains even. Roldan, if he's not getting the job done, I can only believe in one other man. That is Max Woodcock.
Yes, Maxie.
Why?
Yeah.
No, don't bring him on. No, bad idea, bad decision. That's how you lose a final.
Great sub.
Shut up.
Who is that?
You kidding me?
Who's coming on?
What, do you watch football?
Olale. Olale. He's going by himself. But he's blocked for the umpteenth time. Don't let them. No. Oh my gosh. My oh my. Madueke. Free kick. Oh!
Yeah!
Off the post and Bayless grabs the rebound. It's given. It's not offside. Crewe Alexandra go up 2-1 with 10 to go. Is Bayless potentially the hero? What was Colin doing off that set piece marking? A couple guys wide open. Potentially the winner in his final game. Colin had switched from their defensive system, while I decided to clog up the midfield and slow things down to close out this fixture. We'd also bring on Joe Reed. Taste back. Oh, Phillips loses it. Bad time to lose it. No! Joe Reed concedes a penalty? Or was it Nardiello? What does VAR say? Penalty.
No, of course.
No.
There's so unprofessional.
Referee.
Ridiculous.
It's the 90th minute. You're gonna call that?
And I'm gonna have egg on my face for going defensive. Penal. Can Paulson prevent this from going to added time? He can't. Nacho Ferry equalizes it. I had to switch everything back, but with no Roldan, Madueke, or Olale in extra time, it was all up to them. All right. 30 more minutes of football. Our season is extended against our wishes, but that's what we're in. Woodcock! Max! Max Woodcock has scored! At the start of extra time! Max Woodcock!
Yes!
Max Woodcock!
I don't know you. I know him. The cock.
Good job.
The cock.
He names the one player.
The cock.
It's not Bayless's moment. It's Max Woodcock's moment. In the final. Guess we don't need to go super intense right now. We hadn't been able to preserve 2 leads so far, but with 15 to go, I slow things down just a little. With nearly 5 expected goals, little would happen in the remaining time. We maintained possession late, and the ref blew the final whistle. Are we gonna win the Conference League? Yes, we are. We have won the Europa Conference League. Let's go. We celebrated as Crewe Alexandra are UEFA Conference League champions. A European trophy for a club with a population of well under 100,000. It was an academy kid who became the hero. From mid-table in League 2 to Conference League winners. This, like many, was an up and down journey. Many called heroes, even some from the first season. Fans dream of their clubs winning a trophy. Some aren't as lucky to see millions and millions spent, but our true difference makers were invaluable. A big shout out to my patrons. Under the Continue the Journey tier, the file for the save is now available. Also, if not already, I will have some blooper footage from the Conference League final uploaded to my Patreon too. Finally, sometime in June, I will release a special editor data file. Thank you for watching, and I hope you guys take care.